this first Sunday night of November. 70,000 will fill Lambeau Field in Green Bay as the Dallas Cowboys beat the Packers on Sunday Night Football.
All right, listen up, America. It's Sunday night, and that means football night right here. When the NFL and NBC collide, Dallas needs to rustle up a win. Just don't expect a warm welcome in Green Bay. Cowboys pack. Hit it.
All right, Sunday night, where are you? Waiting for the game that bleeds red, white, and blue. You want some football? We want it too. Hey, Jack, it's a fact. The show's back in town. Boys and the pack in a nasty showdown. The stadium's rocking. Time to crank up the sound. NFL's best have come to play. Coast to coast, there's just one thing left to say. I've been waiting all day for Sunday night. Get on your feet for a star-spangled fight. More than a game, it's every fan's right. That's why we're waiting all day for Sunday night.
Rodgers going in the end zone. Touchdown Packers.
Oh, my goodness.
And is caught by Miles Austin for a touchdown.
Sunday night football on NBC. Al, Ed, and Chris are the best on TV. The stars are out. It's the place to be. 'Cause the NFL rocks on NBC.
43 degrees. We'll take it. Clear skies, light winds. A good night for football as DeMarcus Ware leads his Dallas Cowboys into Wisconsin to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers on NBC's Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer, welcome to Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers come into the game with a mark of 5-3 off two very big wins 2 weeks ago here on the Sunday night against Minnesota. And then last week they shut out the Jets at the Meadowlands. They look much more like the team everybody expected to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They go into a bye week next week to get healthier and hope to lead the NFC North. With the win tonight, they'd be 6-3. Now the Dallas Cowboys, a record of 1-6, 0-4 at home. This team has lost 4 in a row, and of course they lost Tony Romo to a broken collarbone a couple of weeks ago. So 38-year-old John Kitna leads the team, at least until Romo gets back, and they hope that will be in the middle of December. But in a word, if you had to sum it up in one adjective, the Cowboy season, nightmarish. Now, Chris, what has happened? And what is happening with the Dallas Cowboys?
I'm not sure 30 seconds is enough to explain all that, but let's forget about X's and O's for a minute. I mean, we're going to find out a lot about the Dallas Cowboys tonight, don't you think? About their heart, about their character. Are they going to show up out here and fight the way you would expect the Dallas Cowboys to fight? Are they going to fight for their head coach, Wade Phillips, whose job is very much on the line this season? We're going to find out some answers in about 3 hours.
Especially after that flop last week to Jacksonville at home. Now, Green Bay, we were in here a couple of weeks ago. Fans are all nervous. They're 3-3, can't win the close ones, but now they've beaten Minnesota and the Jets. What do you take away from those 2 wins?
Well, you know, for the Green Bay Packers, here's a team that has every excuse in the book. I mean, they have so many injuries on both sides of the ball. They could have easily rolled over. And yet, for the last 2 weeks, we've seen them really stand up. I thought their performance last week in New York when they shut out the New York Jets, probably the most impressive performance I've seen all year.
So they try to make it 3 in a row, go to 6-3 tonight. We're going to see Charles Woodson, the great defensive back in his 13th season in the league of the Packers, taking on Miles Austin and the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
Ball lead.
Aaron Rodgers' favorite target has been Greg Jennings. He's caught 32 balls this season. He is the Packers' leading receiver, and moments ago he was down on the field with Andrea Kramer. Andrea.
Thank you very much, Al. Well, the Cowboys have allowed 4 touchdown passes in back-to-back games. So, Greg, how can you exploit their pass defense tonight?
Well, we're just going to try to control what we can control on offense, and that's being assignment sound, being fundamentally sound, and trying to get the ball in the end zone.
You come into this game off of 2 big wins facing a 1-6 Cowboys team. How have you guys prepared to avoid a potential letdown?
Well, we prepared like they're 6-1. You know, they're a team that has a lot of talent, and they've yet to put it on all 4 quarters. So we just got to make sure we don't let them show their potential tonight.
All right, Greg, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Al, Jennings will be without fellow wide receiver Donald Driver, who's missing just his 2nd game since 2004. But the Packers will have defensive end Ryan Pickett, who's missed virtually all of the last 3 games with a sprained ankle. As for the Cowboys, Kyle Kozar, who himself has missed the past 2 games with an ankle, is back starting at left guard.
And as for the Cowboys, there is Wade Phillips. Through it all, he's able to maintain some homespun humor, a little smile there. He walked into the room last night, and we said to him, "How you doing?" He said, "Well, they can't kill you and eat you."
He doesn't think.
Not to this point. Mason Crosby to kick off, and Brian McCann, who was just activated from the practice squad, makes his NFL debut right here. And it's a ground ball that's picked up at the 19-yard line, and that is Scott Chandler, one of the Dallas tight ends, who brings it back up to the 31-yard line. John Kitna leading the team out onto the field, and let's meet the Cowboy starters.
John Kitna, Central Washington.
Marion Barber III, Minnesota.
Miles Austin, Garfield High School.
Roy Williams, Texas.
Dez Bryant, Oklahoma State.
Jason Witten, Tennessee.
Doug Free, Northern Illinois. Kyle Kozar, Arizona State.
Andre Gerard, Colorado.
Leonard Davis, Texas.
Mike Colombo, Boston College.
So Kitna from the 30 will give the ball to Marion Barber as Dallas is still trying to get its running game in gear. Clay Matthews makes the tackle. For John Kitna, he's been around a long time. He was at one time the starter in Seattle in the late 1990s. He was the starter in Cincinnati early in the 2000s, and then most recently the starter in Detroit a couple of years ago. He has been backing up Tony Romo, who suffered that broken collarbone against the Giants. Last year, Kitna did not take a single snap, and they run a draw with Barber, and he's a little short of the first down. So 2 runs for Barber. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Charlie Pepper comes up from his safety spot to make the hit.
Well, if you've been following the Cowboys at all, you know that one of the cries during this losing streak has been about not running the football enough, especially without Tony Romo in there. They want to see him just pound away, and now that they have their entire offensive line back intact, looks like they're going to try and do that.
Yeah, collectively, they're averaging only 3.7 yards per rush. 3rd and 1. Barber is the back, his 3rd straight carry, and he won't get it. So it's an automatic 3 and out. Charles Woodson comes up on a run blitz to stop him.
Well, here's what happens when you have the defensive MVP. Last time he played the Cowboys, sack and interception, and you always have to account for him no matter what. Remember, we were talking to Brett Favre, and Brett Favre said he thinks Woodson may be the best run player in the NFL. That's a heck of a statement about a cornerback.
And pretty good evidence right there. Matt McBriar sends the kick down to the 9-yard line. Tramon Williams eludes the first man, brings it back upfield, and runs it back out to the 18-yard line. A 9-yard run back, and let's take a look at the Green Bay offense.
Aaron Rodgers, Butte Community College.
Brandon Jackson, Nebraska.
Corey Hall, Boise State.
Greg Jennings, Western Michigan.
Jordy Nelson, Kansas State.
Donald Lee, Mississippi State.
Chad Clifton, Tennessee.
Darren College, Boise State.
Scott Wells, Tennessee.
Josh Sitton, UCF.
Brian Balaga, Iowa.
And for Rodgers, a little shout out to his community college, Butte Community College. Of course, from there, he went to the University of California, was the Packers' 1st-round draft choice in 2005 from the 18-yard line on 1st down. And Rodgers buys time and shoots it underneath to Brandon Jackson. who is seeing most of the action out of the backfield now. Ryan Grant was hurt on opening day, their number one running back, and is on IR.
Right there's a matchup you want to watch. Usually DeMarcus Ware plays on the other side of the field, but now because Brian Balaga, the rookie, is playing at the right tackle position, they're going to end up flipping him over. And then on the other side, of course, Anthony Spencer is going to go against Chad Clifton, although they will be going back and forth tonight.
And they had Donald Lee lined up in the backfield on first down. Now it is Jackson again, and that'll make it 3rd down and 3. Igor Olshansky, number 99, making the tackle. For Aaron Rodgers, had a great season last year. This year, kind of a sputtering start. He even suffered a concussion, though he didn't miss any action after the Washington game. Came back the following week. And right now, played very well against Minnesota. Last week, even though they didn't score a touchdown, well enough to got him to a 9-0 victory, along with that defense and great punting against the Jets. 3rd and 2. And Rodgers hangs in there, and that pass is going to be caught, and that's going to be enough for a first down to Jordy Nelson, who's covered and tackled by Mike Jenkins.
Well, the Packers really feel like they can throw the ball if they can get this guy right here blocked. There's DeMarcus Ware, this time against Chad Clifton. Goes with the bull rush there. But for Aaron Rodgers, he has such great confidence in Chad Clifton right now. He thinks Clifton is playing the best football of his career, and he's going to have to tonight against one of the best pass rushers in the game.
Ware with 8 sacks to this point in the season. On first down now. Rodgers with time. He's very mobile. He's flushed out. They chase him to the sideline, and he skirts the sideline and picks up a couple of yards. Out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Let's take a look at the Dallas defensive starters.
Marcus Spears, Louisiana State University.
Jay Ratliff, Auburn University.
Igor Olshansky, Oregon. Anthony Spencer, Purdue.
Brady James, LSU.
Keith Brooking, Georgia Tech.
DeMarcus Ware, Troy University.
Terrence Newman, Kansas State.
Alan Ball, Detroit DePorge.
Gerald Sensabaugh, North Carolina.
Mike Jenkins, South Florida.
That's a defense that allowed only 16 points a game last year and 27 thus far this season. And John Kuhn, the number 2 running back, picks up a couple there. You look at that defense, and you wonder, Chris. You look at it and you say, well, what is the problem? It seems to me to just be a collective problem right now.
Yeah, I think it is, but for the most part, it's been the secondary. This is a secondary led by Mike Jenkins a season ago that was just tremendous. This year, Terrence Newman's had some problems with his ribs here lately. Mike Jenkins has clearly not had the kind of season that he had. They tried to make a move at safety with Alan Ball. That's had moderate success at best. So a lot of issues back there.
And one of the issues right here is a timeout taken by that defense after Green Bay lined up 3 by 1, 3 receivers to the right and 1 to the left. And Wade Phillips is the man who calls the defense, and he took over last year. You have one of those interesting situations tonight where you've got the head coach of one team, Phillips, calling the defense, the head coach of the other team, Mike McCarthy, calling all of the offensive plays.
Yeah, it makes for a good matchup, but it really is surprising, Al. The Dallas Cowboys, the one thing that you knew about them going in, there were some questions, their offensive line, would their offense look the same? Could they still run the ball? All that kind of stuff. But you knew going in that Wade Phillips' defense would be good, that they would be able to hold you down. This is a team that I think was second in scoring allowed against them a season ago, now up around towards the bottom of the pack in the National Football League. So the one constant that everybody expected from the Cowboys really has not been there.
3rd and 3 after the timeout. Dallas wanted to get the right personnel on the field. Green Bay now going 2 by 2 with Jennings out of the slot on the left side, and Rodgers with a quick throw to the right side. A first down, and the ball is loose, but it's picked up by Jordy Nelson. James Jones made the catch, and he's had some fumbling problems. Evidence right there, but a break for Green Bay as Nelson winds up with the football.
Well, on that one, Terrence Newman falls down on the coverage right up here. And he's got some issues coming into this game. He's been taking a pain-killing shot in his ribs, and they actually have had to put it right between the ribs. He showed me before the game he has a welt on there about the size of a quarter. He says he's still in pain, has trouble breathing, but he's going to give it a shot tonight.
3 fumbles this season for Jones. Again, Donald Driver not playing tonight, so we'll see a bit more of Jones. And right now, Jackson, it's all he can do to get back to the line of scrimmage where he's tackled by Anthony Spencer. They lost Ryan Grant on opening day, and again, so it's Jackson. They were thinking about making a trade for another back, but wind up with Jackson as the main man.
Not often you see Anthony Spencer playing off the ball, but there he was basically in a linebacker position, and I'm sure that the Green Bay Packers offensive linemen were sitting there going, where is Anthony Spencer? And his running back find out.
Rodgers from the shotgun on 2nd down and 10. On Green Bay's opening drive, catch is made, short gain. Jennings is there, and Skandrick covers him.
Well, that's going to be a really interesting matchup tonight. There's Donald Driver, who's usually the slot receiver, but tonight they're going to put Greg Jennings in there, the best of these Packers receivers, and probably the guy that's going to struggle the most in coverage is Orlando Skandrick. So you get the best receiver against the third corner, and the Packers will try to take advantage of that.
3rd down and 7. And Rodgers throwing, and that will be caught on the outside by James Jones, who he's made 2 grabs already on Green Bay's first drive of the game, and that's Brian McCann, the rookie, making his NFL debut with the coverage.
Well, here goes Chad Clifton working on DeMarcus Ware, is going to push him just past Aaron Rodgers. And for James Jones, this is a big catch. James Jones has struggled this season, had a big drop a week ago, had a fumble earlier in the season, very costly against the Bears, probably cost him that game. It's a good start for him.
Rodgers a good start, 5 out of 5. And now 6 out of 6, even though most of the stuff has been underneath. That's Tom Crabtree making the catch. They're minus Andrew Quarles, their tight end, the rookie. Donald Lee and Crabtree are the 2 guys who are active. And, of course, Jermichael Finley was lost a couple of weeks ago. That was a big loss at tight end.
Yeah, Jermichael Finley, for fans who don't know that much about him, may have been one of the more exciting players in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers smiling his face, but he wasn't smiling when he found out about Finley.
Kuhn is the tailback. Paul is the fullback. And here goes Kuhn through the middle. And the crowd lets you know who's carrying the football for a short gain. Spears makes the tackle. Chris was talking about that Cowboy pass defense and the troubles that they have had. 8 yards per pass allowed, and the quarterback rating in 3 figures, both the 2nd worst in the league. Third and 3. Packers have had the ball for almost 7 minutes. Rodgers flushed out, and then he gets sacked, and it's Skandrick who comes in on a blitz, and then Ball as well. So they sent 2 defensive backs in on the blitz on 3rd down and 3, and it pays off for Dallas.
Well, that time they're going to come with the corner blitz right off the backside. Sorry, I think that's on the other side. Coming off the backside of this thing. Really, they had one coming from both sides on that one. And really, one of the things that the Cowboys were criticized for a week ago was that they were too easy to read, that the coverages were pretty simple. And yet, tonight, they've come out in much more complex kind of looks.
Well, they're going to line up for a 54-yard field goal attempt for Mason Crosby. And the kick is blocked by Mike Jenkins. And it doesn't matter who winds up with the football. It's going to be Dallas's ball right now as Spears covers. There is a flag down on the play. Ball was kicked when it was on the ground. So a 54-yard attempt on a pretty windless night. But still, outdoors, Lambeau Field, you don't see that very often.
But a definite win for the Dallas Cowboys. That was one of those drives they had gotten all too accustomed to seeing here lately. And then they stood up at the end of it. And if they get out of here with no points, that's a nice way for them to start.
Well, Walt Coleman will open up his mic for the first time tonight. There was Jenkins coming in to bat it to the sideline. And the flag came after the block.
I think it might have been, was it Stephen Bowen? I'm trying to see who it was. One of the defensive linemen in there may have been hit by two different people.
Illegally kicking the ball on the receiving team. That is a post-possession foul. Will be penalized 10 yards to the dead ball spot. First down for Dallas.
Dallas, the key is they get possession of the football with 5.5 to go in the opening quarter. No score. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Nissan, innovation for today, innovation for tomorrow, innovation for all. By the Miller Lite Vortex model, taste greatness. And by McDonald's, I'm loving it. All held last night. Back at our hotel, the Marine Ball, 235th anniversary of the Marine Corps. Veterans of World War II were there as well. So after the block punt, and we're going to take another look at it in a second. I think it might have been Ratliff who's going to get the block from the 18 on first down. This is Witten making the catch to the 21. Jenkins came flying in from the side. We'll take another look at it, and it looks like he deflects it, but he may have just either grazed it or missed it. And then there's Bowen, 72, and Ratliff, 90, coming in, and it looks like maybe Ratliff is the guy who gets a hand on it.
You're going to see number 72 go up, but actually Ratliff got to it before it could get to Bowen's hands.
Somebody was going to block it. That was too low anyway.
You and I both took a guess, and both
right. 2nd and 7. Felix Jones is the back. The fake to him. Pass to the outside, and that's caught by the tight end Martellus Bennett. That'll make it 3rd and long. Let's meet the Packer defense.
Ryan Pickett, the Ohio State University.
B.J. Raji, BC.
Cullen Jenkins, Central Michigan.
Clay Matthews, USC.
A.J. Hall, The Ohio State University.
Desmond Bishop, San Francisco City College.
Frank Zombo, Central Michigan. Charles Woodson, University of Michigan.
Nick Collins, Bethune-Cookman.
Charlie Pepper, Alabama.
Tremont Williams, Louisiana Tech.
Al Harris still not active, but they did activate Atari Bigby from the PUP list on 3rd down and 9. There's a little flip to Witten, and Witten reverses direction and picks up the first down. That was a great move he made on Brandon Chiller. Chiller was going to stop him about 4 yards shy, but Witten goes the other way and moves the chains.
Well, they're moving Jason Witten around. Now he's in the backfield. And the big question for the Cowboys tonight, would they put Charles Woodson on him or Brandon Chiller? It's going to be Brandon Chiller tonight, and that time both Chiller and Woodson missed. And here's the big matchup. You've got Mark Colombo on the outside blocking against the leading sacker in the NFL, Clay Matthews. Did the job there.
From the 30-yard line. And again, a quick toss to the outside, and this is the good-looking rookie, their number 1 draft choice, Des Bryant. And a lot of people were surprised during the draft that not that Bryant dropped as low as he did, because he got his issues at Oklahoma State when he was suspended for most of the rest of last season. But you could tell he was a talented kid. Jerry Jones wanted him, and he went out and he got him to supplement the receiver core with Austin, with Roy Williams, with the tight end Witten. And so far so good, and he's been great on punt returns. 2nd down and 5 from the 35-yard line. And Kitna floats one down the sideline, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Sam Shields, a rookie from Miami. Getting action tonight. Got position and intercepts it for Green Bay.
Kowalczyk.
Emergency, Kowalczyk.
What is your emergency?
The intern forgot the donuts for the status meeting.
Tomorrow night, the show is the event. From the unexplainable to the unthinkable, what will happen next? You can catch it tomorrow, the event, at 9 Eastern, Pacific, 8 Central, and Mountain, right here on NBC. It's always an event at Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Sunday Night Football back here for the second time in 3 games with Minnesota in here for that phenomenal game a couple of weeks ago that ended with Favre throwing just out of Moss's reach back of the end zone, and Green Bay holds on to win it. They stack the backfield here with Rodgers moving to his right, getting outside, flag is thrown, and the ball is thrown into the Dallas bench.
Looked like Alan Ball working down the field against Greg Jennings. And Alan Ball is
holding, number 32, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Orlando Scandrick.
Yeah, it ended up being a little bit earlier up the field, and we talked about the matchup with Scandrick working against the top receiver, Greg Jennings. And really, though, this is one that really shouldn't even happen here because he doesn't have him in man coverage. He's just going to try and get a bump. But then when he grabs right there, got a big grab, little push.
Packers already with some interesting power looks in the backfield. This is Jackson taking it up to the 45-yard line. So what does Jerry Jones think about all of this? Well, one thing he said, and I talked to him earlier today, he said, this game is how we technically make adjustments, particularly on defense, especially after last week. And he talked about Wade being keenly aware. They're in tune with that. So it's almost like, in a way, you're saying you got to go back to the fundamentals. And the Cowboys keep talking about we're doing the right things. We're just not executing them properly.
Clearly.
2nd and 7. Here's Jackson. And he fights for a first down. He's close to it. See where they spotted James and Brooking are there. So it will either be a first down or a 3rd and short. And Walt Coleman so signals move the chains.
You know, but it's been the little things all along like this from DeMarcus Ware. Here, your star player. You can't get hooked. You know, there he is. He's in position. His job is to contain that run. And there's no question this guy can dominate at times. Last week, 2 or 3 times he allowed people to get outside him. So it's the star players even making mistakes, not just the guys down the line.
Kuhn is the running back. A little toss back to him. And Kuhn gets to the 43-yard line. John Kuhn, 5th year out of Shippensburg. Picked up on waivers in 07 from the Steelers.
I tell you, I bet you in John Kuhn's lifetime, he never thought he'd be playing tailback for the Green Bay Packers. You know, I talked to Joe Philbin. I said, "Did you ever think John Kuhn would be playing tailback for you?" He said, "He's a wing T fullback, but he's all we've got, and he's pretty good. He's done better than we thought."
And being serenaded by 70,000 at Lambeau. 2nd and 6. Fake to him. And Rodgers with Nelson covered perfectly by Newman. No room there. Now, if the Packers have had one major issue this season on offense, it's 3rd down. 3rd down conversions. Last year, Rodgers was phenomenal. And there it is through week 8. 2nd lowest on 3rd and short. And then tied for 19th with 4 or 6 yards to go. And then you go to 3rd and long. And they're 3rd in the league. So the longer, the better for them thus far. The shorter, not so good. Here it's 3rd and 6. Cowboys come. Rodgers escapes. He'll have a first down and a lot more. And out of bounds he goes at the 18-yard line. 27 yards on the ground.
We talked to DeMarcus Ware last night. He said he wanted to come up and then loop back underneath because he knew Rodgers would step up. Look at the hole it creates when he doesn't come back. Just an easy way for him to run. Other than Michael Vick, Aaron Rodgers about as good a running quarterback as there is in the game right now, despite having an ankle injury coming in here. He looks pretty good.
Longest rush of the season for him, 27 yards. He averages 4.5 yards every time he runs with the ball. Give it back to Kuhn. And he'll take it to the 15, and that will take us to a commercial break because that is the end of the first quarter. No score in Lambeau Field in Green Bay, where NBC Sunday Night Football continues after these messages. Aerial coverage tonight brought to you by Geico. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer. Sunday Night Football. Wade Phillips and his Dallas Cowboys. Mike McCarthy and his Green Bay Packers. And in the red zone, where the Packers are right now, they're 5th in the league in touchdown percentage. And the Cowboys are 27th in red zone defense. Green Bay tries to exploit the turnover, the interception off the last Cowboy drive. It's 2nd down and 8 at the 15-yard line. Blitz coming, gets it away, caught, 10-yard line. That's James Jones setting up 3rd and 2. Rodgers on 3rd down last year, the highest in the NFL in a decade. And on 1st down conversions, 2nd in the league. That was last year. Then you take a look at this year, a completely different story. 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a rating of about half of what it was last year.
But so far tonight, 4 for 5 on 3rd down. Right. So that's a good sign for the Packers.
Jackson is the tailback on 3rd and 2. Off the fake. Jackson takes the pass. Jackson inside the 5. Touchdown Packers.
Looked like Jackson was going to go out in the flat. Instead, he just stopped, and Aaron Rodgers got him the football. Remember, they only needed 1 or 2 yards. Flip it back inside. Everybody chasing him down the field. And there's Sean Lee, the rookie linebacker, completely missing him in the open field. Not even a finger.
Yeah, Ware ran past the play. Lee got juked out. The extra point by Mason Crosby is good. So in the opening seconds of the 2nd quarter, Green Bay takes the lead. It's the Packers 7 and the Cowboys nothing. Sunday Night Football Extra, a neat deal. Check it out. Go to NBCSports.com. That's what it will look like. A lot of interesting stuff that supplements the telecast. Mason Crosby will send this one down to the rookie Brian McCann. And McCann, some nifty little moving around, and is taken out of bounds up around the 33-yard line. Dallas ball. Chris, 2 of the premier sackmeisters in the league tonight.
And if you're rushing the passer in this league, you better be able to turn the corner and put a little torque on your body. And these two guys, they know how to get that done. You can see them when they're coming around the edge. They get that little lean going. To Marcus Ware here, same sort of deal. Those big, tall tackles sometimes have trouble just trying to push them down in the ground. They use that pressure against themselves. Come in there and make some plays. Robert Mathis, I think, was our torque champion, though, so far this year.
Undefeated. On 1st down, slipping as he gets the football is Jones, and he is stopped in his tracks. When the season began, Dallas had that 3-headed running attack, the way it looked like it was going to go with Barber, with Jones, and Tashard Choice, but instead it's been Barber averaging less than 4 yards a carry. Jones has been okay, and Choice hasn't played very much.
Probably has a little something to do with that play in Washington on opening day, don't you think?
At the end of the first half, and Romo ill-advisedly tossed the ball to him. D'Angelo Hall ran it in for a touchdown, and of course Washington went on to win the game. And Kitna, before he can get rid of the ball, Clay Matthews is right there. And Clay Matthews, undrafted when he walked on at USC and didn't start until his senior year, is on his way to maybe being the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year.
It's so interesting. Watch him loop back inside. He was really just sort of setting up a stunt on the outside for Charles Woodson. He was almost a decoy on the play, just kept working as he's done all season long, and he is making a very strong case for defensive MVP in this league.
Leading the league in sacks, and he also missed a game with a hamstring pull. Came in with a sore shin tonight. Don't tell Kitna. And that's tipped, and then it is caught by Austin. It was tipped by Clay Matthews, and Austin gets it out to the 35-yard line. And it's 4th down.
Well, he has a major impact on everything. Watch him here. Comes around the corner, and they're trying to set up the screen, and he gets his hands on that football as well. He really didn't practice all week this week because of the shin, and they were worried about putting their blitz packages together. I guess they don't have to worry so much about it anymore.
Grandpa and Dad played in the league, and Uncle Bruce is in the Hall of Fame, the Matthews family. Good, deep, booming kick, but that'll skitter into the end zone off the foot of Matt McBriar. 20-yard line, another look at Clay Matthews. What a year he is having. 7-0 Pack. Tomorrow night on NBC, Matt Lauer will talk with George W. Bush. It's the president's first one-on-one conversation since leaving office. It's a primetime special tomorrow at 8 o'clock on NBC, and don't miss a special preview of that exclusive interview with Matt coming up at halftime tonight. Cowboy D back on the field. Green Bay takes over from the 20-yard line. Kuhn is the running back here on 1st down. Off the fake. Rodgers with time. Throws, caught. For the moment, Jennings had a 1st down. Let's see where they give him forward progress. Spotted just about on the stripe. And Walt Coleman says if it's on the stripe, it's a 1st down.
Well, the old rookie's hanging in there pretty good tonight on the outside. Brian Bulaga, #1 draft pick, and I tell you, this protection was really the difference on that play. The Cowboys try to bring pressure, and yet once again they don't get there. Their cornerbacks were left in one-on-one coverage for about 4 seconds, and that doesn't work in this league. You're not going to be able to cover these receivers that long.
He supplants Mark Taucher, who's inactive again tonight. Kuhn tries the left side, and there is nothing there for him. 2nd down.
Olshansky on the tackle.
Well, for the Dallas Cowboys, it really comes down to what they can do on 1st down. So far this season, the reason the teams convert on 3rd down against them is they allow 6.3 yards on 1st down alone. So they end up in a lot of 2nd and 3rd and short situations, and you just can't win games like that. There they finally won on 1st down. Now it gives them a chance for some pressure packages.
2nd and 9. Blitz coming. They pick it up. The mobile Rodgers will stay in bounds and then get banged out of bounds. So Rodgers going to the sideline, and then Skandrick and Newman were right there. And Aaron was looking for that extra yard or 2 in the 1st down.
Well, it's the same thing. Again, too deep against Aaron Rodgers. If you run around the top of him, he's going to step up in that gap every time. The mobility of Aaron Rodgers has broken this Cowboys defense, and Terrence Newman tried to break Aaron Rodgers that time and looked a little like Brett Favre, didn't he?
And he knew exactly where that marker was, and he stayed in bounds. He's now carried 3 times for 44 yards tonight. And on 1st down, it's Brandon Jackson for a yard, maybe 2, to the 45-yard line.
Well, there's really no great mystery to the Dallas Cowboys defense. And talking to some of the guys, they were saying that, you know, hey, we started watching ourselves after David Garrard last week said that I knew what their coverage was going to be pre-snap. So tonight they've been working on trying to disguise coverages a little bit, but it doesn't matter. When they want to bring pressure, they have to play man coverage. That has been the basis of this defense over the last 3 or 4 years. And if they're getting beaten man coverage, it doesn't really matter how you disguise it. Here you clearly know this is man coverage.
2nd and 8. And Rodgers throws, and the defender Jenkins falls down as Jones makes the catch and gets tackled by Sensabaugh at the 33-yard line. So Jenkins, who had a real good year last year and is having a real rough year this year, falls down and Green Bay moves the chains.
But look at how he's looking right at the wide receiver. The quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, knows it's man-to-man, knows he's going to have this back shoulder throw. And for Mike Jenkins, that's the way the entire season has gone. A guy that every break went his way last year. He made so many plays, made the Pro Bowl, and yet this year, it's been like that.
Team in microcosm. 33-yard line. Green Bay's gained 146 yards to 29 for Dallas. And Rodgers throwing. There's a flag. And it's Jones making the catch, and he's pushed out of bounds at the 2-yard line. But you saw the flag come in. Offense or defense is the question.
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, 41, defense.
Terrence Newman. He tried to sell it the other way, but the officials weren't buying.
Well, he's playing off coverage, so you know at this point you can't do it. They go a little slant and go. Newman knew he was in trouble. Tried to just disguise, just to knock him off the coverage there a little bit. Little pump fake from Rodgers. And for James Jones, this performance, he had kind of gotten demoted a little bit. Jordy Nelson ended up starting the game tonight. And it looks like James Jones didn't like it. He's been playing well.
Jackson behind Johnson, the fullback. And he leans to the goal line and gets in for the touchdown. A little body lean and angles his shoulders, and that leads to a Lambeau leap.
That was impressive. Anthony Spencer is one of the best run stuffers for the Dallas Cowboys. He gets a clean shot, but it doesn't matter. Jackson's going to bounce off of that and just drive his way into the end zone. Pretty good show tonight for Brandon Jackson, too. Let's see if he gets that ball across the line.
And Dallas is going to challenge the call.
Well, we saw this one last week too, didn't we?
We've seen a few of them in the past couple of weeks, and resignedly
challenging the ruling on the field of a touchdown.
Wade takes the flag back with a little bit of resignation. At best, they're going to have about an inch to go for a touchdown. Best if Phillips wins the challenge, it'll still be second down and goal from about the 6-inch line. But it's just this mass of bodies, and when his forward progress stopped, Jackson appears to keep on going all the way through, and you can see right there the ball would be above the plane of the goal line.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown. Dallas will be charged with their second team timeout.
Well, Jerry Jones has watched Brandon Jackson with 2 Lambeau leaps tonight. One on a receiving touchdown, and this one on a rushing touchdown.
I wonder if Jerry's thinking about doing a leap himself. This is not good.
They need a leap of faith. I don't know where it's going to come from, though. Mason Crosby for the point after. 8:26 remaining in the first half. 14-0 Green Bay. Lyman, guy who probably yelled at Chris from time to time, right? He's your coach in Cincinnati.
Every day. But he is absolutely one of my favorite people on the planet. He really is. He was so passionate about the game of football and such a great teacher. Love seeing him here tonight.
Packers very big on bringing back a lot of the guys from the past. Here is McCann. And McCann looking like Pac-Man. Not Jones either, up to the 40-yard line, just off the machine. Big interception, and that was the key turning point here early in the game tonight.
Yeah, you take a look, and you've got Miles Austin, your best player, on the outside working against an undrafted free agent, trying to get a little confidence going for John Kitna. And look at the catch this kid makes. One of the big reasons tonight that Al Harris wasn't activated when he could have been is because Sam Shields has been playing so well, a former receiver in college, and he looked like one there. Great play.
Felix Jones is the back here. Gronkowski is the fullback in this set. Kitna stepping up, hit as he throws, going deep, and that's too deep. Intended for Miles Austin.
Well,
two big storylines tonight. It's funny, somebody was talking to me earlier in the week about what's the bigger storyline. Well, anytime Dallas plays the way it does, that is huge. But you can't forget about the way Green Bay is playing right now, because they're ready to go into a bye week if they win tonight with a mark of 6-3.
Yeah, but for the Dallas Cowboys, they better start showing up out here, because they've got an owner up there who has some decisions to make, and he was expecting a little more emotion than what he got a week ago, and so far we haven't seen that.
No question. Here's Bryant. And Jerry's made it pretty clear. He said it publicly this week. I talked to him earlier today. He's a student of history, and you make a mid-season change, coaching change, it normally doesn't work out that well. You might, suck out a couple of victories and then have a false hope for the following year. So he's not inclined to do that. Unless
he starts watching this, and then you don't know what he's going to do.
3rd and 1 from the 49. Barber and Choice are in the backfield, and Barber just gets stuffed, racked up. Clay Matthews.
And I hate to say it, but it's star players. It's Jason Witten right here. Watch him slow out of his stance here, and Clay Matthews just beats him to the punch and completely destroys that play. Man, oh man. Awesome play by Matthews. Don't want to take anything away from him.
Meanwhile, the defensive end, Ryan Pickett, is the guy who is hurt. 4th down when we come back. He came in with a right ankle injury, and they're working on it again. He had to come off the field here. It's 4th and 4 with Matt McBriar into punt. Green Bay on top 14-0. Tramon Williams back to receive the kick. A good angled boot. And that will pin Green Bay at about its 8-yard line. Of course, the second week in November, and that means it's Veterans Day. And you look at George Halas, of course, the Lion of Chicago, Roger Staubach, who went to the Naval Academy, won the Heisman. We all remember Rocky Blyer of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and of course Pat Tillman, killed by the so-called friendly fire in Afghanistan a couple of years ago. National Football League, very instrumental in the USO tours, and there was John Fox, Brad Childress, other coaches. And this was the scene here in Lambeau Field in Green Bay tonight in celebration of the upcoming Veterans Day holiday.
Got a chance to go on a couple of those USO tours. It is awesome. Played basketball against every U.S. military man in Germany, I think. I was there for 3 weeks.
Everybody comes back with great stories. Nelson makes the catch and slips down at the 13-yard line.
Well, one thing the Packers wanted to do tonight was get back to basics. They felt like that they had gotten a little too complex with some of their third down packages, and Mike McCarthy said, we just dialed it back. It's like first week installation of training camp. We have such a small game plan tonight, but we're going to try and do what we do well, and so far it's really worked out.
2nd and 4. Jackson, and Ware is right there, and 2 flags come in.
Well, that time DeMarcus Ware.
Personal foul, grasping the face mask, 94 defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
It's unbelievable. He had Tom Crabtree blocking him. A 4th-string tight end. Tom Crabtree couldn't block him if he came out there with a machete or something. And yet, even on a play that's perfectly played by DeMarcus Ware, could not do any better, they still end up giving up 15 yards.
Mm-hmm. It's an avalanche. From the 25-yard line. to Jackson. Squirts away to the 33. Let's check in with Andrea.
Well, guys, we've seen a number of the Cowboys slipping, and footing is a big issue for Dallas. At least a dozen players have changed their shoes. They're going to a longer cleat.
And that's on a field that's in really good shape. I mean, it's Green Bay. It's November. You would think you'd have a lot of brown spots. And maybe they came out with the wrong cleats tonight.
Yeah, sometimes you just never know till you get out there and actually start in the game. And sometimes even the temperature changes a little bit during the course of the game, and it can affect the field too.
2nd and 2. And that's Newman with the coverage on Jordy Nelson. When you walk on the field before the game, it's like Augusta.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, I wouldn't know. You would know. So. Not that I'm bitter or anything.
But.
Hallowed turf both, aren't they?
How'd you know I didn't mean Augusta, Maine?
I had an idea.
3rd and 2. .5:23 left in the half. Dominated by the Packers. 190 total yards to 35 for Dallas. Draw inside, and look at that hole for Kuhn to the 50-yard line. Behind Sitton and the rookie Balaga over the right side, gain of 17.
It's completely unsound. Look at everybody over here. You've got 2 defenders on the right side of the center. How are you going to block that? It's impossible. It's absolutely a blown defense, a completely fouled up scheme. And if they're not having enough trouble physically, now mentally they're starting to break down.
Right on the 50 on 1st down. The fake. Rodgers feels the pressure. Buys time. Kuhn off his shoe tops. Gain of 3. Butler and Ware trying to sandwich Rodgers with that great presence in the pocket. Can feel it. Steps up and makes a little something out of nothing.
Well, you called it, Al. Aaron Rodgers' ability to buy time is the phrase they use in the NFL, to allow his receivers to work a little longer down the field. He's just sort of dancing around, feeling the pressure from the outside. The game really has come down to the ability of these 2 tackles to block the 2 best pass rushers of the Cowboys on the outside.
2nd and 6. In the fullback role in this set. So funny, of course, you're talking about, Green Bay talking about getting back to the basics, and even though they've been playing very well, and then that's all Dallas is talking about coming into this game.
Well, Wade
what happened to the basics?
Yeah, the basics. He said, I go, what are the basics? And he's like, blocking, tackling, holding onto the football, not bobbling passes. Last week John Kitna, 3 of the 4 interceptions he threw came off the hands of the receivers of the Dallas Cowboys.
3rd and 4. And Rodgers going deep. Jenkins gets beat again. Catch is made by Jennings. Beautiful pass. Great catch. Jennings beaten on the play. 1st down.
Well, here comes the blitz right here. And watch the Cowboys. They're going to step up and make the play. Obviously, when you're blitzing, you get man coverage. And I tell you, Greg Jennings, watch him be so casual at the end of this. He didn't want to stick his arms out because then Jenkins would know the ball's coming. So he just basically left his arms dead and allowed the ball to come in. Jenkins couldn't react to it. Another big completion against the Cowboys and for the Pack.
33 yards on the play. It's 1st and goal from right on the 10-yard line. 2-yard gain here for Jackson. 2nd down and goal. 2.5 to go in the half.
Let's take a look at Greg Jennings here on the tail end of this play. Watch him. He's not going to even act like the ball's coming and just let his arms kind of go dead and the ball comes in there, because really what Jenkins is trying to watch for is that last second move of the hands to catch the ball. Well, Jennings didn't show him that, so he was able to get the catch.
And Dallas is going to take a timeout here. before a second and goal. Mobile apps are here. You can watch live video, set your fantasy roster and more. NFL.com/mobile. Check it out. Take a look at DeMarcus, where Andrew was talking about the problems the Cowboys were having with their footing. And you can see that Ware goes down because of the turf, went back to the bench for a second, but is able to come back into the game because they had taken a timeout.
And you could see his foot just slipped right out from underneath him. And sometimes you can go to those 3/4-inch cleats, but a lot of players don't like to wear them because sometimes your foot can get stuck in the turf and you get hurt that way.
That's Dimitri Nance who goes in motion and then sets to the left. Rodgers looks that way, comes back the other way. Touchdown, Jennings. They have been exploiting the Dallas opponents all year long. Over the middle, the safety Allen Ball, and he gets beaten here.
Not really that complex a play, and yet when you have a corner that has moved to safety, it's a play he hasn't seen enough in his lifetime. He should have anticipated it. It's Greg Jennings. He's the star guy. There's no doubt they're going to try and work down the middle. Right here and right here are the two key guys. See the eyes going. There's nobody down the middle of the field. It's by far the easiest throw that a quarterback can make because you don't have to throw through any bodies. You know, a lot of teams will run that middle linebacker, you know, out down the middle and that Tampa 2 kind of thing. The Cowboys didn't do that. But this is just ridiculously easy to throw the ball on the Dallas Cowboys. And I know that they've made the move back there and there's a bit of an experiment, but it has been an across-the-board collapse. The pressure hasn't been too bad this year. Jay Ratliff, maybe not quite what he was, and maybe Keith Brookings' face says it all.
So really the only big and major change they made is they let Ken Hamlin go and they moved ball to that safety spot. And all of these things just sum up the whole Cowboy season right now. That was a 93-yard drive that took 5 minutes, consumed 10 plays. And you got McCann. And he loses the ball and it pops loose. And it's a live football, and Collins is going to run in for a touchdown. Jared Bush was able to knock it loose. And Wade Phillips, will hear from upstairs if it's challengeable. It still is challengeable with 2:04 to go.
Yeah, you don't have a choice here now. You're going to have to take a look at this thing. I thought he went to the ground, but it was hard to tell from all the way up here. Is that ball loose? Is it loose? Not yet.
Is he down with possession?
Tell there.
And if nothing else, you're right, Chris. There's the knee is down. He's down,
yeah.
And he has to challenge that call.
Yeah, better come out soon.
He has, and he just does. I mean, Green Bay.
Dallas has no timeouts left.
I just took a look at this. They used a timeout on defense on the second down play on the last series, and that was their last timeout. So he couldn't even challenge it. Oof.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that is insult to injury to insult. They would have won it.
And they challenged the one down on the goal line that they lost.
Right.
And it cost them this one.
You have to have a timeout left to make a challenge. And normally in the first half, it's no big deal if you use your timeouts. And, of course, it's everything that's happened to Dallas this season. If it happens on the other side of the 2-minute warning, then it's a booth review. And the guy upstairs can stop it.
You know, the interesting thing about that is typically referees slow play that call because they're sort of trained that, well, we can always come back and look at it in replay. And yet in that situation, because it couldn't be challenged, the slow play actually played greatly to the favor of the Green Bay Packers.
Well, when you look at Dallas, they used a timeout on an unsuccessful challenge. They had to stop it early in the game when they had the wrong defense, and they get a small break here as it goes out of bounds before touching the goal line.
Kickoff out of bounds. Ball be played.
That comes out to the 40.
First down.
So they used those two, and then they took a timeout on a 2nd and goal for Green Bay to try to conserve some clock time if and when they got the ball back, and that took them out of timeouts and out of challenges.
Boy, remember when John Kitna was saying the hardest thing that we had to do is get over the Tony Romo hangover? That our team, you could just feel the emotion go out of the team when he got hurt. And it looks like the hangover is lasting even longer.
Kitna. And first time he hits his longtime Detroit teammate, Roy Williams. He makes his first catch. 2-minute warning with 1:59, and Green Bay up by 4 touchdowns. Coming up, Favre and Sanchez leading their teams to overtime wins. And how about the Raiders? They beat the Chiefs in overtime. Mike Vick comes back to lead the Eagles over the Colts. Bob will talk about the Vikings and that soap opera and what a week that has been in Minneapolis. What a week it's been in Dallas as well, where the Cowboys right now are down 28-0. 2nd and 4, 1:59 to the half. And Felix Jones. Well, you know, Chris, you're right. I'd be surprised if Dallas does something in the middle of the season. But I don't know. Do you get to the point? Do you get embarrassed on Sunday Night Football like this? It's just been a train wreck. You're right. There's no other way to put it. Now, what do you do, though? 3rd and 6. And that'll be caught by Dez Bryant. And he makes the catch at the 43-yard line, as if the Cowboys didn't know they're out of timeouts.
The Cowboys went back to basics this week, and they're basically awful. This has really been hard to stomach if you're a Cowboys fan.
From the 43-yard line. It's only their 2nd first down. And then that is caught. And that'll set up a 1st and goal as Bryant is able to make the catch. And Kitna will head down the field. Shields and Collins with the coverage over the play. On the play, it'll be 1st down and goal.
Good veteran move that time by John Kitna. He was able to move Nick Collins with his eyes and open up his young star. So back-to-back plays to Dez Bryant. Let's go to a youth movement here. Get the ball in the kid's hands and let's go.
From the 2. Kitna. And it's incomplete. Roy Williams. Was that one tipped?
Oh.
Might have been.
Tramon Williams should have had it. That one looked like it was thrown to Tramon Williams. He's going to undercut this one and just... Wow. Yep. Kitna was lucky on that one.
And Williams couldn't handle the deflection. It'll be 2nd down and goal, 25 ticks.
You have to be careful here. You can't take a sack. You're right on that borderline at 25 seconds.
Kitna will throw, and that one is knocked away. Intended for Witten. Sam Shields got a hand on it. 3rd down and goal with 21 seconds.
What a nice play by Sam Shields on the outside. That's a young man that understands the game right there. He had a guy come out in the flat in front of him, but instead of jumping on that, Sam Shields didn't take the bait. He let his middle linebacker Desmond Bishop get him. He falls back underneath and saved a touchdown. He's having a huge night.
Here they come. Kitna gets it away, and it is caught by Bryant for the touchdown. Kitna just got the pass away. Shields with good coverage, but Bryant, the rookie, gets up in the air and pulls it in. And at least there's a pulse. A small one, but a pulse.
Well, for John Kidna, all he did was look at Nick Collins. When Nick Collins came on the blitz to that side, he knew he had his guy against Sam Shields, and he just threw it up in the air.
Beeler for the point after. So Bryant, the key man on that drive, the rookie out of Oklahoma State, to make it 28-7. Schwarzenegger will be there. David Spade will be on the set as well. Jay pays tribute to military veterans with Kim Kardashian. The Tonight Show this week. Here we are. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. 35-7. Green Bay on top with 8.5 to go in the third quarter. And John Kitna will throw deep downfield in double coverage. And Roy Williams will draw a flag. He really took a shot from Nick Collins as he lies on the turf.
Looked like a helmet-to-helmet shot.
Did.
And really totally unnecessary.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, 36, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, I guess they think the commissioner's joking about these, and I know it's tough to do, but, you know, he's going to be opening his mail here in the next week and paying the fine. You know, we talked to some of these guys, and, you know, it's so hard on the defensive players and trying to adjust and do all those things, but it just doesn't matter, you know. The NFL is not going to put up with this. They're going to change the fundamentals of the game, and they're not going to see this anymore.
Williams is okay. He was on the bench, telling everybody he was doing fine. Figures to be back in the game, and Collins will be a little bit poorer this week, or a lot poorer.
It's all relative.
Yeah, true. Ball at the 50-yard line. 1st and 10 now. Getting the throws, and that's off the hands of Felix Jones. Started to look upfield. Woodson that time on the blitz. Let's go back to the helmet-to-helmet.
Nick Collins with his helmet-to-helmet hit. I personally have a bit of an issue with how the league's handling. I don't think that the answer is to fine the guys and suspend them after the fact. If you impact the game in question, if Nick Collins is ejected from the game at this point, you start to change the behavior of defensive players in a way that they're not doing now. When you do it after the fact, all you're doing is benefiting the next team that they play if you may suspend them in the future.
I'm with you. Meanwhile, you've got a sack fumble, and then it's picked up by Jones, so they retain possession, and Desmond Bishop came in and crowned him.
Oh, boy. Felix Jones here, just absolutely no idea. Has no idea. Basically, Tony Romo got injured when Chris Gronkowski missed the block, and John Kitna got the same treatment. Your running backs have to know who to block on the blitz, period. End of story.
Steve Young's career ended when Lawrence Phillips forgot to block. Timeout. Halfway through the third quarter. 35-7 Packers.
Good. Once he sees Michael Boley go inside, and that was that. And really, neither one of those were that complex. You have one guy that you're responsible for over there, and two quarterbacks take shots. Tough, cruel game in many ways, but I can tell you this, if you're a running back and you miss blocks and your quarterback standing over there, you won't last too long in this league.
Romo doesn't want to miss any games, but in particular, this is one that he really misses because the kid who grew up in Wisconsin. Loved Brett Favre. 3rd and 15. That gets tipped. And again, Clay Matthews is free. Ball is tipped. Play is over. 4th down.
For Dom Capers, this has been the easiest night calling plays of all time. He just puts his 2 best players on one side, loop them like that, and it's been wearing out the Dallas Cowboys. I'll tell you what, you want a head coaching candidate? How about Dom Capers? He has lost so many players on defense this year, at least 2 on every level, defensive line, linebackers, and in the secondary, and yet they just keep cranking along.
This is McBriar's 5th punt. Tramon Williams from the 6th to the 12. Speaking of those Packer injuries, opening day starters on injured reserve. Ryan Grant, their number 1 running back. Opening day, he was gone. Then Jermichael Finley, a guy around whom they built so much of that passing offense. Inside linebacker Nick Barnett, their leading tackler last year. Morgan Burnett, good-looking rookie defensive back. Brad Jones started the first 2 games and 5 of the previous 7. So Green Bay will have no sympathy for anybody else.
No, and when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they lost Tony Romo, obviously, but other than that, they have been relatively healthy. It's remarkable. You would think if one of these 2 teams had collapsed this year, it would have been the Green Bay Packers.
So when you look back at the Cowboys, on defense here from the 12-yard line, and the quick pass to Nelson. You know, Chris, they had a bad preseason. Didn't play well. Some people were saying, well, you know, they were in Dallas, and then they went to San Antonio, and they came back to Dallas. They went to Oxnard in California, and all of that. Didn't look good. Couldn't run the ball. But for the most part, you and I both know that it very rarely carries into the regular season. Teams can look horrible, and then they open up like 6-0. But in this particular case, there was a lap over.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at them defensively right now, who is it that you say is the great player? I mean, DeMarcus Ware probably fits that bill, and other than that, I don't know where you turn next.
2nd and 4. And Rodgers finds the open man, and that's a 1st down as Brandon Jackson gets over at the sideline and makes the catch to move the chains.
Well, one thing in a 34 defense, occasionally you take your pass rushers and you drop them back into coverage, and here's Anthony Spencer going to end up trying to cover Brandon Jackson, who really just kept the play alive, kept moving, kept trying to do something for his quarterback. This is one of the best games I've seen Brandon Jackson play. He played well against Washington, over 100 yards rushing earlier this season, but he's starting to look like he's getting in the flow of this offense.
24-yard line, 1st down. Jennings, and Newman makes the tackle. One other thing, Chris, I think that's taken somewhat of a toll on Dallas. The Super Bowl's in their stadium. So the whole season starts. The offseason starts. Hey, can the Cowboys get to the Super Bowl? And it's talked about for months and months and months and months. And in a way, maybe some of that excitement was a little overwhelming.
Yeah, a little overwhelming, and maybe they got a little old in some key spots, too. This offensive line kind of aged together, and there's some older linebackers, and I don't know. Sometimes you have to anticipate what your team's going to be.
Close to a 1st down.
Well, here's one of the better players right now for the Green Bay Packers. Watch him secure the block and then get up on the next level. That's what you want. These 2 guys have been brilliant all season long, working those little combination blocks inside, but more importantly, protecting Aaron Rodgers and allowing him plenty of room to step up in the pocket where he can work some of that magic.
The old days. Look at this lineup. Kuhn.
That may be the 3 biggest running backs I've ever seen in my life in one NFL backfield.
When's the last time you saw like a real straight T?
I thought he was going to break out the wishbone. Look at these 3 guys. Looks like something out of an old Notre Dame photograph or something. And John Kuhn just powered his way through. There's the big dogs inside. That's the way they used to play back in about 1912.
Right, that's a play from 70 years ago.
Well, why not? We're in Green Bay.
Right. Rodgers, look at that pressure feel right there. Jones makes the catch. Sends him off with the tackle. And Rodgers right there just before he gets into that vice. Steps out of it, completes the pass.
Boy, Ware almost had him here, but just a great feel by Rodgers. Going to step up and through, and when he gets moving, he can throw from some strange angles. Watch this arm angle here. He just kind of takes it and flips it right on the money. This has been some show by Aaron Rodgers tonight.
Only 5 incomplete passes for him tonight. He's 26 out of 31. 276 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Jackson runs around Newman before he goes out of bounds. Quinn Johnson through the block.
Well, for Aaron Rodgers, sort of interesting mechanics. You know, when he came out of college, he used to hold the ball up way high. But look at him here. He really never even steps when he throws. He kind of just has this little hop or something. But he makes for a very quick release. He doesn't have to take the big, long stride that a lot of these guys do. And you can just see him growing into the position. I really think Aaron Rodgers now is just becoming one of those elite quarterbacks in the league. Maybe not up there yet with the top 3, top 4, but just behind them.
Jackson. Well, it's a story we've told before, but we might as well tell it again with a 35-7 score.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy's in San Francisco as the offensive coordinator under Mike Nolan. He looks at Rodgers and he looks at Alex Smith. Then he passes on Rodgers and they take Smith. And then, of course, what happens is McCarthy gets the Green Bay job. And here they are matched up. Rodgers goes 24th. Smith goes 1st. And, of course, at this particular point, Aaron has clearly trumped Alex on every level.
And Mike McCarthy, when the first time he saw Aaron Rodgers, he said, okay, I didn't pick you, live with it, let's go. That was it. That was the whole conversation.
Here's that tee again, and they give it to the fullback, Kuhn, to the 29-yard line.
So far, there hasn't been a lot of mystery to that formation, has there?
Well, you run 58 plays. You go through the whole book, don't you? They've run 58 plays, and the Cowboys have run 28 plays.
Wow. 87 total yards.
That is a thrashing.
That is embarrassing. When you look at the talent that is on this field offensively for the Dallas Cowboys, that is unbelievable.
And it's incomplete, and there is a flag. Dallas may have had too many men on the field. There are 2 flags. And Walt Coleman will make the call in a moment. Did the Cowboys have 12? Somebody late getting off. That play was a 3rd and 5, so that would be a first down if it's against Dallas.
Offside, 92, defense. That penalty's declined. 12 men on the field on the defense. That penalty's accepted. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Here you go. There's your 12th man trying to get off the field.
You know,
Josh Brent.
It's one thing to get beat physically. It's another thing when you're, I mean, it's not a nicer man in the world than Wade Phillips, but this is bad. He had one losing record in the last 12 years.
Yeah, got him fired, too. It was at Denver in '94, and then Mike Shanahan came in the following year. From the 25-yard line, Kuhn. And he takes it to the 23, under a minute to play in the 3rd quarter. So, the speculation's already started, and when you talk about the coaching future of anybody right now, of course, everybody goes to the guys who won Super Bowl trophies who are out there. John Gruden and Bill Cowher. They would top anybody's list. That's the fans will go to those two guys first. John Fox's contract is up in Carolina. John was a man who went to a Super Bowl and gave New England all they could handle a few years back. So he'd be another guy in there.
I'll give you another name. Perry Fuel with the New York Giants.
The job he's done with the defense.
Oh, man. Yes, sir.
Kuhn again. And that's going to take us to the fourth quarter. End of 3. On a night of celebration at Lambeau, it's been all Packers, 35-7, Green Bay. And NBC's Sunday Night Football continues after these messages.
This week, a Tonight Show exclusive, Arnold's farewell as the Governor. Kim Kardashian entertains the troops, and candidate Christine O'Donnell. Now, she's not a witch, but she plays one on TV. New Tonight Show with Jay with great guests all this week on NBC.
As you look down at Lambeau Field, brought to you tonight by Geico. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Andrea Kramer. We start the fourth quarter in Green Bay. Big night for Aaron Rodgers. 276 yards, 3 touchdowns. And he starts the final quarter at the 18-yard line of the Dallas Cowboys with a 3rd down and 3. And that'll make it a 1st down and goal. Church comes in to make the tackle.
Well, right now the Packers just have this defense solved. You go in motion. You see the guy running across with him, so now you know it's man coverage. So you run this little pick play on the outside. Then you get it down to about the 5-yard line. There's not a mystery right now. They know exactly what the Dallas Cowboys are doing, and it's like telling a major league hitter, you're going to get fastball, you're going to get curveball, you're going to get blasted.
Kuhn is the tailback. He'll toss back to him. He takes it to the 3-yard line. Good workload for Kuhn tonight. 13 carries for 51 yards, and he shared it with Jackson, who has 11 carries for 37.
Well, and if the Packers can get enough of a running game going, it just slows down the pass rush a little bit. You know, they're just trying to reestablish. They lose a 1,200-yard rusher in Ryan Grant, the ability to go downhill. And John Kuhn gives them a little bit of that physical nature in there, you know, makes you stand in there tough and make tackles, and it just slows you down as a pass rusher, which is obviously what they like to do most.
2nd and goal, and a whistle.
Full start, 71. Offense, 5-yard penalty, still singing down.
So Josh Sitton gets called for one of the rare penalties tonight against the Green Bay Packers. That is only the 2nd.
2nd and goal from the
2nd down and goal from the 8-yard line.
Blitz coming.
And that time the intended receiver was a tight end, Crabtree.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm no genius, but, you know, you move people. That time they take Brandon Jackson out of the backfield. Keith Brooking went across here with him. Man coverage. Okay, I know exactly what I want in man coverage. I'll take that one. They just didn't complete it.
You studied law at Florida. You are a genius, aren't you?
University of Cincinnati. I did that other stuff in Florida, but yeah, the answer is yes.
3rd and goal. And Rodgers throws, and that is incomplete, and Jones knows he should have had it.
And for James Jones, it has been a nearly perfect night tonight until that one. That would have really capped it off for him. Just comes on a slant, man coverage. They know what it is.
And Rodgers had been perfect, 8 for 8 passing on third down. And we talked about the problems they've had this year, but they have rectified them at least for one evening. 26-yard attempt coming for Mason Crosby to tack on 3 more and put the Green Bay Packers up by a score of 38-7. Green Bay being brought to you by Olive Garden. When you're here, you are family. By BMW, the ultimate driving machine. By Verizon, the official wireless service provider of the NFL. And by Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. Big night in Wisconsin. And pretty pleasant, all things considered. Temperature today got up into the mid-50s. 43 at game time. Probably around 40 or so right now. But dry, not much wind. And a lot of good things have happened for this crowd of 70,000. Tashard Choice from the 1-yard line brings the ball back out to the 22-yard line. With 13:03 remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Green Bay Packers up by 31 at home. Packers last week beat the Jets at the Meadowlands. It was the first road shutout against a team that was 5-1 or better since 1965 when the Bears beat the Colts. So the Packers went in there, and they would have had a shutout tonight. They were close to it, except for that Dallas last gasp end of first half score with Des Bryant getting into the end zone. They're that close to another blanking tonight. And this is Felix Jones.
Second and 3 from the 30.
Cowboys 29 plays tonight, the fewest in a game. If you go back to 65-39, they're going to put that one in jeopardy here as Jones takes the ball out to the 38-yard line. There's Matt Flynn getting loose. Always a good sign when your backup quarterback is warming up and you're not hurt.
Anywhere else in America, they might be going home at this point, but not in Green Bay. They get 8 of these moments every year, and they're fired up. But I don't know what it is exactly now. But going into this drive, the time of possession in this game, 33 minutes to 13. Don't see that very often in the NFL.
A lot of these folks, this is what they call the Milwaukee contingent. For years, the Packers used to play 2 or 3 games a year in Milwaukee, and then they stopped doing that. But they allowed the people from Milwaukee, that region, to get tickets as that catch is made by Witten. And Witten gets taken down by Bigby at the 30-yard line. And Kitna says, let's get up there and we're going to go no huddle.
Well, they finally found a little seam down the middle here. And for the Green Bay Packers, they're happy to see that guy back in the lineup. Just his own defense, and Jason Witten got down the seam. But Atari Bigby coming back is huge for the Green Bay Packers. Really, Charlie Pepper has done well, but he was their third safety. Look out.
And look at that. It gets batted. It's taken by Clay Matthews. With Woodson escorting him, and Matthews is going to go all the way into the end zone. Touchdown, Packers, and a Lambeau lead. There's his dad leaning forward right there. Well, he may have just cemented Defensive Player of the Year.
Look at this blitz. And here comes Woodson again. We've seen it all night, and it has killed the Cowboys all night. I think this is a dual deflection there by Woodson and A.J. Hawk. And for Clay Matthews, what else can you do? Seems like every time we watch a game, something like that happens for him, and what a year.
Second career touchdown. He had one on a fumble return last year. Crosby bangs it through. And now it really is over. Wednesday, new back-to-back episodes of Law & Order. First, Law & Order SVU with guest star Marcia Gay Harden, followed by Law & Order Los Angeles. Wednesday night on the National Broadcasting Company.
We've been looking at Jay Ratliff on the sideline all night. He's been on the oxygen. I don't know if he's sick or not, but it has been a tough night for him.
7-yard line. McCann. And next week, Battle of the Heavyweights. Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, Tom Brady and the Patriots. Our first look at them this season. Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. They play Cincinnati tomorrow night. 3 Super Bowl titles for the Pats, 2 for the Steelers. They match up on America's Game of the Week next Sunday night. From the 35-yard line on first down, Bryant. Well, if you're Dallas now, Chris, I mean, now it's not that it wasn't serious, but you have a situation, you know, they thought they were going to play a decent game tonight. They thought they had a letdown last week after, you know, the Romo got hurt against New York and they lost to Jacksonville, thought they'd bounce back. This is an embarrassment. Now what? You still have half the season to go. 8 games.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jerry Jones is going to get gang tackled in the locker room after this game by the media, and they're going to want to know the answer to one question. Are you firing Wade? That's it. That's what it's going to come down to after a performance like this. They expected much better. They thought they were going to get much better, and instead they got much worse. If that's the case, I don't know what you do. You know, I mean, it's tough.
Barber gets taken down there. You know, there's an irony here. Jason Garrett, about 3 years ago, was about the hottest young assistant in the league. He's the offensive coordinator. He calls the plays. There he is. He could have, by all accounts, had the Baltimore job, which wound up going to John Harbaugh. Could have had the Atlanta job, which wound up going to Mike Smith. Those guys have done really good jobs there. And the Cowboys kept Garrett. Makes a lot of money for an assistant coach, but he's no longer the hot young assistant.
But he's not the head coach either.
Right.
So at some point, are you going to say, at the very least, out of this disastrous season, let me find out if Jason Garrett can be the head coach? And I think that is probably the strongest argument for making a move. And you hate to put it in those terms, but a lot of times that's what it comes down to.
I think the most interesting thing is going to be whether Jerry Jones decides to go with an offensive pedigree or a defensive pedigree.
Well, and if he goes defense, you have to remember he has 3-4 personnel, so that has to factor into it.
And McBride is able to boot that one out at the 2-yard line. A flag is down, so we're going to take the band and put them back in the shed for a second. Hold those trumpets.
But if you had to guess right now, I don't know that Wade survives this night.
Well, so if you make a change, you have to go intra-staff.
Yeah.
And so what are you saying then? Garrett or, let's get the call here.
Kicking team player went out of bounds on his own. That is a 5-yard penalty, and we will re-kick. 4th down.
Just another Dallas miscue. So you get this beautiful kick by McBride. Not that it matters in a game like this. By himself, there he is, Danny McRae.
Well, he was hoping and thinking that he was going to get pushed out of bounds, and Brandon Underwood was smart enough to say, I know I can't push you out of bounds, and so he just let him fall out of bounds. And that's about par for tonight. Boy, it's been a long time since I've seen somebody humiliate the Dallas Cowboys like this.
This is the worst of the unholy trinity. Giants, Jacksonville, and now this. And that's Tramon Williams on the run back here. And now we cue the band again. 8:41 remaining. Pretty ugly numbers over the last 3 games for the Dallas Cowboys. 9 turnovers. 1,289 yards in 3 games. And of course, 3 losses. And headed for a 1-7 mark. The ball's at the 23, and Matt Flynn, third-year quarterback out of LSU, the backup, comes in to finish out the game. Just to go back to the coaching thing, Chris, for a second. You look at Jerry Jones's history. He buys the team in '89. He brings his longtime buddy Jimmy Johnson in, and that works out tremendously successfully. Jimmy wins a couple of Super Bowls. They have a 5-year run, and then Jimmy's out, and then Barry Switzer comes in, who Jerry had a history with as well, and Barry's there for 4 years and wins 1 Super Bowl. Then when he changed coaches after Switzer, I remember talking to Jerry at the time, and he said, one of the most important things to me is I want a head coach who will call his own plays. So he hired Chan Gailey, who's now the coach at Buffalo. That lasted 2 years, but it was important that we wanted to go offense.
Well, just an observation. When the Dallas Cowboys have had a hard-edged, demanding head coach that confronts the players and Jerry Jones on occasion, being Jimmy Johnson and Bill Parcells, this organization has been ascending. When they have had the other style, they've been descending. And I think that that'll probably play into this as well, which, you know, throws some names out there like the Bill Cowhers of the world.
Well, again, I go back to this offense-defense thing. You see, he had Switzer, he had Gailey for offense. Then when he let Chan go, he went defense, and he promoted from within with Dave Campo for 3 years. And that's incomplete. Dave is still on the staff as the secondary coach. Then he decided, after 3 years with Campo, he had to make the big splash. And, of course, what bigger splash could a guy make than to go get Bill Parcells?
Yeah, but, you know, Bill Parcells and Jimmy Johnson were also 2 tremendous personnel guys. You know, they added talent to this roster on both occasions. And even though Bill Parcells didn't end up winning the Super Bowl, a lot of the really top-end guys that they have here came from those years.
Here's Mastey's kick. And it goes through Bryant's hands. And does Green Bay come up with a ball? Was he inbounds is the question. Jared Bush. And the question is, was he inbounds as he comes up with it?
Well, he definitely got his hands on it pretty cleanly, and I think he got his second foot down. We'll take a look.
So Bryant loses it. Now you have to control. His elbow hits the chalk.
But if he ends up with control, he never steps out of bounds, which is also key.
Well, it looks like his elbow is on the chalk as he's controlling it.
But if he had 2 feet down before that.
You know, it's one of those things, I hate to say it. I mean, Wade is not even going to challenge it. I mean, at this point, you could, but it's 45-7. I mean, that says it all, too, right now. It's a challenge you might win, but they just want to go home.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 feet down, possession of the ball. I think that's a recovery.
Yep.
There's possession clean.
Well, but the arm is down too. I mean, again, it's one of those things. If it's a key moment in the game,
I say let's debate it the rest of the night.
No,
or Joe DeCamillis.
Joe DeCamillis can only lean back.
Maybe he's the head coach. He's good at yelling at
people. Son-in-law Dan Reeves. So again, with the coaching situation, you know, it's speculation. Again, it's going to be Cowher and Gruden. We know that for starters. So if you want to go offense, you go Gruden. If you want to go defense, you go Cowher. John Fox, again, John's still coaching Carolina, but his deal is up.
The other part of this is that Jason Garrett is the name we're talking about on the staff, but offensively, they haven't exactly been lighting it up either. So, if you're going to pass around some of the blame, it's hard to put it all on Wade.
Absolutely. That's why I'm factoring that into the whole thing about what Jones does. And this is Dimitri Nance.
The other part of this is you send a message by doing nothing, too. That we're okay. And that's not really Jerry's personality either. There's a little Steinbrenner in there, and these fans want blood. They want more. They want him to go for it here.
And Anthony Spencer holding his arm or wrist as he comes off the field. 4th down and 3 with under 5 to play at the 10-yard line. Matt Flynn, 7th-round pick in 08, former LSU Tiger, hands the ball off, and Nance goes nowhere. Tackled there by Bowen. Dallas will get the ball back with 4:39 to play at Lambeau. 45-7, the Green Bay Packers. Packers remaining schedule bye week next week. They'll get healthier. Go to Minnesota in 2 weeks. At Atlanta, that'll be tough. San Francisco comes in here. Then at Detroit and at New England. And they close the season here against the Giants and Chicago. 2 games that could mean either number 1 seed in the conference, NFC North title. But 4 of the next 5 are on the road. So this was a big one to win as they go to 6-3. From the 12-yard line. And we got Kittner throwing to Bryant. Hey, by the way, we should just mention and take a look at, we mentioned Matthews before, and the dad is here, and what a night he has had.
It's been really a tremendous defensive performance by everybody on the Packers, but 2 guys in particular. Clay Matthews just is absolutely relentless. It's the reason I love watching him play. Even if he doesn't get there, he does spectacular stuff with his hustle and his heart, and it shows up every single week. And he just makes plays like that all season long. But he had some help tonight, too. Charles Woodson was pretty spectacular as well.
2nd and 7. Choice. He wants a face mask. Doesn't get it.
So, of course, our guys have a package on Charles Woodson as well. And he was coming off the edge all night long, and they just couldn't find him. John Kittner and the offensive line, they're disguising these blitzes, and they just get free runners. And really, John Kittner has to take some responsibility for it. That time he tried to get it out of there hot. Ended up 6 points the other way.
Woodson, a Heisman Trophy winner. And almost exclusively defense at Michigan, though he did play a little bit of offense. But the guy who could become the first ever to win a Heisman Trophy on the defensive end and go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there was a defensive MVP last year. Said Mom still has the Heisman Trophy, and he is some player. He's been that way for a long time, Talking to John Kittner, he said, I played him 4 years ago, and I started thinking, he must be getting a little older now. Maybe I can pick him. He said, I put on the tape and went, oops.
Started his career with the Raiders, played with the Raiders in the Super Bowl after the 2002 season. Hey, by the way, we should mention another thing here. Bill Cowher and John Gruden, I have no idea if they want to coach, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They've both been in television. We're just throwing the names out because those are going to be the guys who'll be, at least in terms of the fan speculation and wish list, at the top of any team's list that needs a new head coach.
I tell you what, Dom Capers is moving up my list quickly. What he's been able to do with this defense and all these injuries this year has been nothing short of remarkable. I mean to tell you, it is simply remarkable.
2nd and 8. And it's caught by Bryant. And if you go to Capers, remember Dom has been a head coach on 2 occasions. He was the original head coach of the Carolina expansion team. And then he was the head coach when Houston came into the league as the Texans.
But across the board, I mean, it would take me. Nick Barnett is leading tackler a year ago. Justin Harrell, Mike Neal, Brady Papinga, Brad Jones, Morgan Burnett, Derek Martin, Al Harris. That's a who's who on defense, and yet it seems like they're getting better every week.
They are. Second and 10.
Well, John Kitna called it the Star Wars defense. He says you look like you're looking out in the galaxy and they've got a body everywhere, and whether they're bringing pressure or not, they just find a way to find all of your receivers and get them covered up. This is sort of the old Pittsburgh style. If you like what Dick LeBeau does with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Dom Capers, Dick LeBeau, same thing. Those are the same style of defenses. Of course, Dom came from Pittsburgh.
This is Martellus Bennett. Martellus Bennett doesn't go down until about 4 green shirts get there collectively. 2-minute warning. Sunday Night Football in Green Bay, and it has been all Green Bay.
To play 60 at NFLRush.com.
A case involving murder, big oil, and elite. AFC Elite.
The Pittsburgh
champions with expectations and the ability to achieve further glory. Precision versus power.
We're scoring here.
Mastermind versus master motivator.
Finish it!
A statement will be made on Sunday Night Football.
And a reminder, coming up after the game, Andrea will have an interview. And then Bob Toney and Mike Florio will wrap up the game and other NFL news. Chris and I will take a look ahead to the Patriots and the Steelers. Chris, if you are a fan of the Dallas Cowboys and you don't know where your team is going to play next week, you don't want to know. At the Giants.
Oh, God. The team is playing the best in the NFC, and that's really where this whole thing got started. You know, I mean, they were sailing along against the Giants, had a lead, had a chance to go up 3 touchdowns. Tony Romo got hurt, and it has been a big 0 since then.
You know, the Giants go to Seattle today and completely annihilate the Seahawks, 41-7. So much for traveling to the Pacific Northwest and having trouble. And this is Sam Hurd.
The Seahawks, though, I watched them on tape last week against the Raiders. The Raiders dismantled them. They looked like they had 12 Hall of Famers on their defensive line against Seattle's offensive line.
And the Raiders won another one today, so all of a sudden the Raiders are now a playoff contender. First and 10, the ball is at the 33-yard line. Choice. But Chris, that's what the league's become. You know, I'm sure people go up to you as they do to me every week, and they go, well, who's the best team in the league? I go, well, what day is it? You know, this week it's whoever it is, the Giants, Pittsburgh.
Second and 6.
It used to be, I mean, it was New England maybe last week, and they go to Cleveland and get beat.
Well, my answer is always the season starts at Thanksgiving. Because the game changes. You know, when the weather starts to turn and some of these teams that can run the ball, and it just is a different game. And that's when we decide championships anyway. So sometimes some of these passing teams and finesse teams look great early, but come crunch time, not so good. So we'll see.
That's Bennett. And we're under a half a minute to go. So that much time left before the Dallas Cowboys go to the airport and head home, and who knows what's going to happen, and go to New York to face the Giants next week. And Green Bay will take a few days off, a bye week, and then head to Minnesota with a 6-3 record.
Well, there's only going to be one interview of interest after this game. It's Jerry Jones. You know, and for Jerry, pressure's going to be on. It doesn't matter what he does. If he makes the change, it's going to be tough. If he doesn't make the change, it's going to be really tough.
And Kitna, he's going to get sacked. C.J. Wilson, and that is a total stunking. $45-7. As the Cowboys go to 1-7, and 6-3 is the Green Bay mark. And a couple of guys hobbling off the field tells the visual story. So coming up next, it'll be the Gillette postgame report. Andrea will be along with an interview with the stars of the game, and the whole gang will be on hand to wrap it up. We'll look ahead to next week's game on the Gillette postgame report after these messages from your NBC station.
Welcome those who have been watching the Green Bay Packers blow out the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome to SportsCenter. Robert Flores, I'm Linda Cohn. Here's Trent Dilfer, and you are going to probably break down the breakdown of Dallas.
I'm going to do my very best.
And it is now a DEFCON 1 for Dallas Cowboy fans as they fall to 1-7. Let's take a look at the highlights. Wade Phillips told by Jerry Jones that he's going to be the head coach for the rest of the season. We'll see how long that lasts after you watch this. First quarter, Aaron Rodgers. You know, people talk about Michael Vick, and rightly so. This guy can move, too.
Aaron's a phenomenal athlete. Has great running instincts. He just doesn't run because he panics. He runs because there's purpose to it.
Second quarter, Brandon Jackson from Rodgers sneaks his way into the end zone. Packers up 7-0. All right, so the Cowboys get the ball back. John Kitna running out of time, sacked by Clay Matthews. This was a problem all night long for the Cowboys.
Yeah, the Packers really exposed some weaknesses of the Cowboys' offensive line, especially Clay Matthews getting the quarterback all night.
And Trent, once again, Aaron Rodgers using his mobility.
Yeah, you see how he steps up first in the little crease there, tries to be a passer, recognizes there's an opportunity to run, and then shows his toughness off by finishing the run.
Yeah, you talk about the toughness. Takes a nice little hit there from Terrence Newman and keeps on going.
Aaron's tremendously competitive, as are most quarterbacks in this league. Doesn't mind mixing it up a little bit.
A little bit later in the drive. Nice throw here to James Jones as the defender falls down. That's Mike Jenkins. Gain of 22. And top to bottom defensively, the Cowboys awful tonight.
Cowboys no answer in man coverage for the Packers' timing routes. Packers gashed them all night long with them.
Next play from the Cowboy 33. Pump fake. Rodgers. Nicely thrown ball to Jones again. Gain of 31. Down to the 2. Next play, Brandon Jackson makes it 14-0. And the route was on. But before the play is completed, or before the next series of downs can begin, Wade Phillips challenges the call, a challenge he would lose. So the Cowboys lost a timeout, their second of the half. Next Cowboys possession, they can't get anything going.
No, and Clay Matthews, so quick off the line of scrimmage, also recognized the run scheme and shoots the gap.
Greg Jennings, boy, that is just right in the window right there.
Man-to-man coverage, the Cowboys just could not hold up with the Packers receivers or Aaron Rodgers' accuracy.
Gain of 33 down to the Cowboy 10. Next play, Jackson runs for 2. But look at the clock. It's winding down, nearing the 2-minute warning. But the Cowboys were complaining of their footing all night long. DeMarcus Ware, luckily he didn't suffer a serious knee injury there as he loses his footing. So the Cowboys use their last time out of the half at 2:16 as DeMarcus Ware is forced to leave the field. He does return after the timeout, but the next play, Rodgers to a wide open Jennings. Packers up 21-0. How did it happen?
Well, it's interesting because right now, you talk about man coverage all night long being an issue, but also in their zones. The Cowboys, that's a basic route concept by the Packers, but the Cowboys safety unable to recognize it at the snap, doesn't jump inside.
Alan Ball and Gerald Sensabaugh talking about who had who there. Ensuing kickoff, Brian McCann fields it. Ball pops out, Nick Collins. He's gone. Packers up 28-0. And Wade Phillips is like, how in the heck? Now, take another look here. This is important. Now, mind you, the Cowboys have used all their timeouts. His knee is down. But because the Cowboys do not have a timeout, they can't challenge. And because it's not inside of 2 minutes, there's not a booth review. That is just symptomatic, emblematic of the Cowboys season.
Tells the story of their entire season.
So a disastrous first half. Third quarter was not much better. Kitna to Roy Williams, who takes a shot from Nick Collins. Personal foul called on Nick Collins. Williams laid down for a little bit. He was okay, but take another look. What do you think about this hit?
Well, at this point, honestly, I mean, that's going to be fine. The helmet hits the helmet first. It's so hard for these safeties, though, because their aiming point changes. I'm sure he wasn't trying to hit the helmet, but Roy Williams drops in elevation, therefore the helmet hits the helmet.
Fourth quarter, Matthews, who had a fantastic night. You saw him with the sack and the tackle for loss. Here he's got an interception return for a touchdown. Packers go on to win by the final of 45-7. As the Cowboys fall to 1-7, and you see the looks on their faces on the sidelines. This was a team that had Super Bowl aspirations, Trent, and now they're in line for maybe the #1 pick in the draft.
Disheartening wouldn't be the correct word to talk about the Cowboys season, but definitely a tremendous letdown league-wide. This is a better league when the Cowboys are relevant, and at this point, they're not relevant.
Rodgers, 289 yards and 3 touchdowns. He actually missed most of the fourth quarter as they took him out. But let's take a look at the Cowboys defense. They've allowed 232 points through the first 8 games this season. That is tied for the second most in franchise history through that point. They allowed 232 in 1989 when they were 0-8 through 8 games. That's the year they finished 1-15. That's Aikman's rookie year. The 45 points allowed Sunday tied for the 6th most they've allowed in a game since the merger. And we'll take you out to Lambeau Field, get some reaction from both the Packers and Cowboys in just a moment, but we continue analysis here with Trent Dilfer. And you've said in the past, I played on some really good teams, I've played on some bad teams, and when you're bad, it's difficult to finish out that rest of the season, isn't it?
It's brutal, but it really tests the character of each player. And I think it's going to be really interesting to track the Dallas Cowboys the rest of this football season, because the word being tossed around is that they're quitting. Well, I think there's 3 different types of quitting that happens to an athlete. One's emotionally, you just check out. Mentally, you quit listening and applying the information you're being taught. This is a highly tactical game, and how you process the mental information is paramount. And then there's the physical side. And I think what people are seeing is on the football field, it doesn't seem like there's this great physical effort. Typically, that's a product, you guys, of the mental checking out, the emotional and mental quitting. I would buy in that this team has quit mentally and emotionally. Saturday through Monday, when you're preparing, that's where you're getting the answers for the test on Sunday. And when you're not applying yourself, when you're not completely invested, this is the product you see. And you see bodies moving slower because their brains are cluttered, and you're seeing good athletes underachieve. And that's really what you're seeing with the Dallas Cowboys. You can blame it on coaching, you can blame it on whatever you want to blame it on, but there's definitely a disconnect by the Dallas Cowboys players emotionally and mentally to what they're being told to do.
Okay, Trent, so they've emotionally and mentally checked out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We need someone to blame here.
Yeah.
That's the way our sports world is. Why isn't it Wade Phillips? Why is he still the head coach?
Well, I think it is Wade Phillips. Obviously, you got to blame him, and that's the responsibility. The head coach's job is to maximize the ability of every player he coaches, is to get the best out of people, and he's not doing that. But this is bigger than Wade Phillips. There's tremendous momentum in process right now to fire Wade Phillips, and that might help to a certain degree, but this is an organizational issue. At this point, when you're 1-7, right, and you're the Dallas Cowboys, this is about what you do here on out, and you identify 15 to 20 core people in your organization on your team that you know are going to be there, whether it's because of contract, whether it's because they're good players. You're going to build on these players. And every second of every day you are coaching them hard. You're evaluating them hard. You're seeing how they're playing down 45-7 at the end of the game. You're seeing how they come to work on Monday and approach their lift in the morning, and how they look at the film that afternoon, what they're doing Thursday afternoon. You dissect every aspect of who they are. If you get too caught up, and this is the head coach's fault, we make a decision there, then you lose track organizationally that you also are building for next year, and you're identifying which players are going to pull you out of this. in years to come. So it's very important to be a global thinker right now. If you're Jerry Jones, anybody in the Dallas Cowboys front office, you can't just isolate this and minimize this to just the head coach. Putting a new head coach in there isn't immediately going to get the best out of all these players. This has to be an organizational focus as we move forward.
All right, I got to follow up with, okay, you said you've been on some teams like this, all right? Where is the leadership then when it comes to the locker room?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you say it's the coach, but the players should be stepping up. Look at the Vikings. Halftime, somebody stepped up in that locker room and turned that game around and change momentum.
NFL leadership's tricky these days. There's so many youthful players. There's so many guys coming straight out of their college programs that they may not have the respect for some of the veteran leaders. So as a veteran, you got to have a voice, and it's got to be an authentic voice, but you also got to be productive. And I think that's the issue with the Dallas Cowboys. You have some veteran guys that are leaders, that are outspoken, but they're not necessarily overly productive right now. And the young player disconnects from that veteran player that says, well, yeah, you know, he's telling us old war stories and he's trying to tell us how to get it done, but he's not playing good either. So I think that's an important element to look at. You need your veteran players not only to have strong voices in the locker room and that moral authority, but you need them to be productive. And I think that's why the great head coaches don't just identify veteran guys to bring in and talk a big game and have bravado. They identify veteran guys who do that, but who also can still play. And I don't think that's the issue right now with the Cowboys.
We'll hear more from Trent in just a moment. Dallas Cowboy players did not have any answers tonight. Moments ago, Wade Phillips offered these answers with the questions after the game.
With somebody, I thought, they're a good football team playing at home, and they played well, and we didn't play well at all. And that's the way the game went. We looked like we were fighting hard early, but then once it caved in, it caved in on us, and we didn't respond.
Where do you try to go from here in regards to keeping your team spirits up and keeping them focused?
Yeah, it's tough after a ball game, especially a game like this, especially the really several in a row here now, and that bothers me that we can't get back, at least have a fighting chance to win ball games. So, the only thing we can do is keep going forward. I mean, you can't quit. You can't cry about everything. You got to go forward. You got to keep working. We had guys that, the game was out of reach, and they didn't want to come out of the game. I mean, they want to keep playing. I didn't want to get them hurt, but that kind of attitude we have with our players. But I'm not getting it over to them to play that way at the first of the game or throughout the game, evidently.
The running game seems to be really tough. I mean, even early, you guys seem to go away from it.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't established a run, and we didn't stop the pass this game. So those two things hurt us.
What message did you deliver to your guys afterwards?
Well, the only thing you can. I mean, you've got, like I say, you can't. You're not going to quit. So you got to keep working. You got to keep going forward. And it sounds like a hollow message right now, but that's really the way it is. You got to try to improve. You got to keep working at it. You got to work as hard as you can. You got to try all you can, and don't look back and don't look in the mirror and say, hey, I didn't give it my all.
Are you confident that you're going to be able to finish this out? I mean, Jerry said that last week. Are you confident?
Yeah, I'm not into all that. That's not, I don't even know who we play next. I was focused on this game, so that's what we got to do.
Rodgers is the third straight quarterback to put up pretty good numbers against your pass defense. What do you see as
poorly pass defensive-wise? I don't know what's happened. If I had the answer, we would have done it sooner, but we haven't played well in pass defense, and we haven't been able to play man-to-man very well. We've given up big plays. When we play zone, they hit us on everything. So it's something that we've got to keep working on.
Did Jerry talk to you or the team after the game?
I'm not going to get into any of that.
Did you see an improved play in terms of the fundamentals? I know that's something you wanted to see get better over the week.
Well, I thought we played poorly. I thought we played poorly as a team. We looked like a bad football team, and I think that's the way we played with bad coaching.
Excuse me, pardon me. After their third score, Ball and Sensabaugh appeared to be like they were looking at each other like they were confused. I'm inferring from a distance. Was there a confusion on that?
It's the same coverage we've been running for the last 4 years, and we've stopped people on the same route. Those things were disappointing. They ran the same screen for a touchdown that was the exact same plays as the week before. Those things are perplexing to me. If you get beat on something one time, but if you get beat, every week on the same play, that's, we got to know those things. We got to play better than that.
How frustrating? I mean, you're saying that. How frustrating is it then that they're not responding to you?
It's frustrating that I'm not getting it over to them.
I mean, we asked you last week. Do you think you've lost them?
I'm going to go forward and do what I do the best I can do it. That's all I've ever tried to do, and I'm going to keep doing that.
You had to take your last time out of the first half with like 2:16, I think, to go. Was that because Ware was dinged on a play? Or?
No. I thought we would stop them there, and we wanted our offense to have some time. We had stopped it for the 2-minute warning, and it ended up hurting us because at 2:04 we fumbled the kickoff, and he's down, but we don't have a review. The touchdown, Sensabaugh was just adamant that upstairs they said it was a touchdown. He was adamant the guy was down. I challenged it. We lost the timeout there. So those things have been happening.
On a field goal block, did they know that they should stay away from the ball, or
yes,
he lost?
Yes, and to call kicking the football.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no way you're kicking the football there. And we got a 15-yard penalty out of that, but.
Is there any thought of playing McGee in the fourth quarter or any other younger guys just for the whole quarter?
We played a lot of younger guys in the fourth quarter.
Going forward, will you maybe move McGee in place as the starter, or any other young guys to start?
We're not into any of that right now. We just lost the ball game that we wanted to win. We didn't.
Were your guys having footing problems tonight? It looked like more than a few guys were slipping.
Early in the ball game. I don't know why. The field was in good shape. Yeah. I thought the field was in very good shape.
Were guys changing cleats, trying to counter?
We changed, and I think it helped them. All right, thanks.
Go around that way.
So those comments there from head coach Wade Phillips. Cowboys fall to 1-7. A lot to kind of dissect there. But one thing that you wanted to comment on when he said, I don't know who we're playing next.
Yeah, I want to put that into context for people. I know what he's saying. Wade Phillips saying, I'm so invested into this game. My focus is on this game. That's coach speak in the National Football League. They'll never talk about the next game because they feel like it's pulling away from the game they're involved in right now. Now, saying that, I think how you handle the press right now is one of the key roles of the head coach, and you just don't say those words because they'll be misinterpreted by talk show radio hosts all over the country, and it'll just give him even more of a black eye than he already has.
And who they play next, the Giants at the new Meadowlands.
Right, exactly, just in case you're wondering, Wade, the Giants. Anyway, it was interesting, though. I mean, he looked like a defeated man. I mean, that we know. He looks like he needs to be rescued. But he did basically refer to some of the players as perhaps not getting it done.
It is true. I understand what he's saying. He talked specifically about a screenplay that the Green Bay Packers scored on and that the Dallas Cowboys had probably repped this week in practice. He'd probably made it very aware to him probably Wednesday and Thursday in install, and then probably practiced against it again Friday, which is the red zone day. And all coaches can do is send the message. At some point, the player has to receive it and say, yeah, our coaches know this play is coming. We better look for the keys to it and know how to stop it. But I go back to that mental and emotional disconnect I talked about earlier. That's what shows up. When you have a trained eye to look at these games and seeing what quitting really looks like on the football field, it's usually not a physical thing. It's the emotional or mental. You see plays, you see defenses especially, when they're not recognizing what's coming at them, it means they weren't focused Wednesday through Saturday. Because coaches in this league, for the most part, are very good about giving you a preview of what you're going to see in certain situations. It's up to the players to embrace it, practice it, have that focus, and then recognize the situation it's going to come up on in a football game. And that's just, in general, the Dallas Cowboys defense all year long. They seem completely not ready mentally for what's coming at them. And everybody points to the coach, and ultimately is the coach, but they have to receive the message too. Blame should be equal here between Wade Phillips and his coaching staff and the players.
And Wade Phillips basically serves as the defensive coordinator with that team. In light of how bad the Cowboys are, what can you take away from the Packers' performance tonight?
Well, I'm glad we're talking about good Packers.
We were going to bring them up.
Because they showed me a lot. They showed me two things. The Green Bay Packers, I thought early in the season, were a football team without a soul. They lost games at the end of games, critical moments. They didn't play their best, kind of gave games away. They've shown that they do have a soul. And what they showed tonight is they're getting better, too. And you look for a football team, the quality of a football team right now, you look at what kind of steps of improvement are they making. They've been incredibly beat up. They have an influx of new players playing, and these players are getting better, especially up front. You see the offensive and defensive lines playing very well, much more physical than they were early in the season. But the biggest thing I see about the Green Bay Packers is they are so well coached, and they have players that are coachable. They identify the weakness in the opponent. Tonight, it was the offensive line of the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Cowboys in man coverage, and they completely expose it. Defensively, everything they did was built around beat that offensive line right now, get in the quarterback's face, and then Aaron Rodgers in this offense, you could tell that McCarthy and his staff said, hey, when they get into man coverage, they can't stop timing throws, they can't match up with us, and they got them in man coverage, they got identified, and they struck time after time after time. I mean, the precision of the Green Bay Packers passing game was remarkable versus tight man coverage, and you just knew, hey, every matchup across the board we like, and Aaron was probably drooling every time he took the snap, knowing that every option was a good option for him.
Tremendous leadership, too, on this ball club with Aaron Rodgers on offense, Clay Matthews on defense. And this NFC, we talk about it every week, Trent. It is so wide open, and every week there's a new best team in the NFC. And after what you saw today and after you saw Green Bay's performance, are they right there with the Giants and a couple others?
I think they are because they're getting better. Go back to what you said about the leadership. You know, the guy that last year got so much publicity and this year may not be getting as much as Charles Woodson.
Yes.
But look at some of the plays Clay Matthews makes, and he's a phenomenal player, and he probably will be Defensive Player of the Year. But in the back end, Charles Woodson is making a lot of those happen, both in studying their film, coverage skills are as good as ever, and as a blitzer, he makes plays that spring Clay Matthews loose. The touchdown interception was a Charles Woodson deflection. So let's not forget Charles Woodson still as good as anybody in the league. You look at the Green Bay Packers in the hierarchy of the NFC. Yeah, they got to be in the discussion as one of the top 3, 4, 5 teams in the NFC.
Yeah, intriguing little game next week for the Green Bay Packers. They visit the Minnesota Vikings, who had a big win earlier tonight. And what about Aaron Rodgers? I mean, we saw really the full repertoire, his full arsenal. He showed the ability to run the ball, and he was just laser sharp with the passes.
Nobody questions Aaron Rodgers' ability. I mean, I think all of us that study the quarterback position, all the time, we look at Aaron Rodgers and we put him in that elite talent category, and he's remarkable. There's not one part of his game you don't like. What Aaron is missing, and it's really not his fault. This isn't an indictment on Aaron Rodgers. He still doesn't have that one signature win. He's still, this season, he has to come up with a couple huge signature wins where he's the reason at the end of the game that they win. I don't think he needs to think that way, but that has to happen to continue to put him in the discussion as one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. I think it'll happen. He has all the skills to do it. He's in a program that's going to allow for it to happen. You talk to the Steve Youngs, Phil Simms, guys who just study this position like myself all the time. We all say, Aaron, I mean, if you're to build a quarterback right now, you're taking a lot of what Aaron has and building that ideal quarterback.
Prototype.
Yeah.
Call me crazy, Trent. I want to go back to talking about the Dallas Cowboys, okay? I can't help it. And, they play the Giants next week.
Yeah,
But
I do know that. You've told me.
I know. I have an idea. Let's look at their schedule. And from what we saw tonight in their display against the Packers, and then we look at what they have remaining, and that is one tough schedule. Where do you see a win?
Well, what they're showing, I don't see a win anywhere. And the big thing that scares me is their major issues are defensively. Although people all year long have talked about the run-pass mixture on offense, really the flaw this year has been defensively for target one thing. And you're looking at Giants score a lot of points, Lions score a lot of points, Saints score a lot of points, Colts, Eagles. You're looking at the next 5 explosive offenses that are licking their chops to play a defense like this. Not just because they've been exposed, but they know at 1-7. When you're a football player in this league and you're getting ready to play a team that's struggling, struggling, especially defensively, you know that at 1-7, the attention span is not going to be quite as sharp in the week of practice. You're going to be able to do some things offensively to catch them off guard. And if I'm a quarterback playing the Dallas Cowboys, I know big plays are there waiting. And that's what makes all quarterbacks and skill position people excited getting ready to play the Cowboys is big plays. Put that schedule back up, there's a lot of playmakers they're getting ready to face. I don't know how they stop any of them.
How about the other side of the ball for the Cowboys? 205 yards of total yards of offense. And here, John Kitna, great guy, been around the league quite some time, of course. Any thoughts? Any other quarterback out there? Perhaps anything to get this team shook up? With an addition of maybe a quarterback kind of like waiting there.
Well, early on when they were struggling, Tony Romo, he was getting a lot of the blame for their failures. And you go and you objectively look at the film, and I break it down all week long. And I still would have put Tony Romo in the top 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks in this league, how he was playing, even though they were losing. Now you inject John Kitna in there. His first game, he throws a bunch of interceptions, but most of them go off receivers' hands. The issue here is bigger than the quarterback.
Okay.
And not to downplay the importance of the quarterback, but what everybody does right now when they're puzzled, they're scratching their heads like, what's going on? We got to, like you said, blame somebody.
Right.
It's head coach and then it's quarterback. Right. So the easy thing to do is point at the quarterback and say it's his fault. Now, I'm sure John Kitna didn't play his best football. I'm sure he's disappointed about it. But by changing quarterback, you're not all of a sudden going to get the ball for 15 more minutes like they needed it tonight because their defense couldn't stop anybody. He can't throw and catch. He can't protect. So the quarterback's only part of the issue here. They have much broader issues than just who's tossing that pigskin around.
All right, you're going to want to put the remote down because just moments ago, Jerry Jones outside their locker room at Lambeau Field addressing reporters. Let's take a listen.
Feelings right now after this, Jerry?
We were outplayed every way that you could be. Certainly, we made the kind of mistakes alone that can beat you. I thought Green Bay played well. I thought their quarterback played well. I didn't think we played well in any phase of it.
Jerry, how concerned are you that you guys aren't even competitive at this point?
I'm concerned.
Jerry, I know you fix it if you can put your finger on it, but what do you think is wrong?
Well, again, I can't put my finger on it because there's too many. I don't have enough fingers. Okay?
Jerry, how difficult is it for you to keep your senses about you right now and not...
Well, I think there are a lot of people here that certainly are going to suffer consequences, and I'm talking about within the team, players, coaches. They've got careers, and this is certainly a setback. I know firsthand that what it is to have high expectations. I think that unquestionably our expectations are thinking we were something we were not, possibly looking at what might be relative to a Super Bowl. All of those things have certainly contributed early, but again, we have so many things that we need to correct and address as this game so vividly exposed, and previous games have. So we've just, I've got a lot of work to do, got a lot of decisions to make. And it's not just 1, 2, 3, or 4. There are several decisions. I think everybody in this country would agree that there's a lot wrong with this team that we've got to address, and certainly I'm the one to address them.
Jerry's effort now a problem? I know in the past you've lauded your team's effort, but is that a problem now?
Again, I'm not going to talk about any particular aspect of it. I'll just give it across the board. The kinds of things that get you beat like this or don't win ball games are prevalent here.
When you say you're
you get the score before the half, and then you come out and you see that performance in the third quarter, that must be an intense sinking feeling for you, not seeing adjustments at half or those kind of things.
Well, again, the entire, I didn't have a time in the game that I was particularly impressed. We needed to come back and come up here in a real challenging situation, but to really do what I had hoped and wanted to do so that we could start the building on some aspect this year. We demonstrated none of that tonight.
Jerry, I want to be fair to you.
Those comments just moments ago. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. Welcome to SportsCenter. Robert Flores, Linda Cohn, Trent Dilfer here with some analysis. And for those of us that have listened to Jerry Jones over years and years give interviews, it's hard to imagine a lower point for him. I mean, he said earlier, we've been thinking that we were something that we were not. What's your reaction to what he had to say there?
I appreciated the honesty. I mean, I think he's talking, and I think he's included himself in that, to be quite honest with you. I mean, he does act as a general manager. All off-season long, what teams do is they do what's called self-scout, self-evaluations. They're looking at every aspect of their football team, and they're saying, okay, we're strong here, we're middle of the road here, maybe we're weak here, we need to inject some new people there. We're looking at our schemes, our coaches, every aspect of it. And they sit in exhaustive meetings and they go through all these things, and they probably came into a collective agreement, both front office and coaching staff, that this is who we are, this team's built and primed to win a Super Bowl, and these are the reasons why. And he's saying to himself, boy, was I wrong. And he's probably questioning himself in the general manager role as much as anything, because he was involved in those meetings as the GM head. He was evaluating the coaching staff the whole time. So I think right there, Jerry Jones, he was saying, hey, I'm as much at fault as anybody in this whole thing. And when he goes back, I'm sure while all the speculation about bringing in a strong-minded, strong personality as the head football coach, there'll be a lot of discussion on that, because you need a new thinker to come in there and challenge you as a GM. Some of the great GM coaches relationships in this league are the ones where there's some conflict. And I'm a big believer, without conflict, there's no growth. Now, you have to know how to fight. Yeah. You have to know how to have that conflict. It has to be done in a professional manner, a forward-thinking manner, but there's got to be a little friction. And I think what's happening in Dallas is there's no friction between Wade and Jerry. Jerry says this, Wade says okay. And there's never that conflict that creates growth. So I'm sure Jerry knows this better than I do, and I think this next coach is going to come in here with free authority to argue a little bit with Jerry Jones and challenge him.
By the way, he had that with Bill Parcells. Okay. Reporters did their job. They did ask. We didn't hear it, but they did ask, when will there be the decision about his head coach? And Jerry answered, I don't know.
And I've never seen a midseason firing work out well. I've always been the believer that if your next head coach isn't on the staff, then there's no reason to fire the head coach now. I mean, like I talked about earlier in the show, this is now an evaluation period for the Dallas Cowboys. You need to identify your core people in your organization, players mainly, but also coaches. This also is the training staff, the strength staff. I mean, everybody in the organization. You need to identify the guys you know are going to be there. You're forced to keep them or you want to keep them. And it's about investing in them, completely evaluating them, everything they do. If they have issues, training them. You know, I'm a big believer that, front office can have an impact. If there's a core player down and walking around the locker room and he's going to be there and he's hanging his head, there's nothing wrong with the GM, owner / give him a little slap on the rear saying, hey, keep your head up, keep pounding that nail, keep working hard, you're a big part of our future. Now that guy all of a sudden doesn't get caught up in the mess, which is the Dallas Cowboys. He's starting to be, okay, I got to get focused on what I got to do this week, and you start getting the best out of people. So firing the head coach, great. If it makes you feel better, do it. I'm not saying you need to keep them, but it's not going to make any huge difference in this season.
Well, it's the top of the hour. This is SportsCenter. Robert Flores, Linda Cohn, Trent Dilfer. We're here with you for the next foreseeable future, talking about NFL football and also specifically the Dallas Cowboys.
Boomer and TJ coming up as well.
They've got an extended look at some of the fascinating games this afternoon or this week in the NFL. Spending a couple more minutes on the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, this season, for playoffs, etc., it's over. But guys are fighting for jobs and that next head coach and the next quote-unquote general manager. And like players around here always say, former players anyway, the tape don't lie. I mean, guys are fighting for their careers.
I and this guy don't lie. I remember my second year in the National Football League, we kind of knew Sam Weiss was on his way out. We didn't know who the new head coach would be, and it ended up being Tony Dungy. And I had a veteran player come along with me one day. I didn't have the greatest work ethic at the time. I was caught up in the drama and the emotion of what was going to happen to my head coach. And a veteran player came up next to me, pulled me aside and said, listen, everything you do, Practice and games is caught on film in the National Football League. And trust me, Trent, it'll be evaluated. And I took that message with me forever. And I relayed the same message to a lot of players through some times of crisis in the National Football League. Everything you do is evaluated. And it's so important for these players on the Dallas Cowboys to almost get selfish now. Hey, this is about my development. This is about me getting better. This is about me making sure that every time a coach evaluates me, a GM evaluates me, a fan evaluates me, looks at me, that I'm passing the test. And you get enough guys doing that, now you get everybody having their best efforts, and collectively you get better. You know, I thought Brett Favre's comments, I'm sure you'll show him later in the show, he talks in his post-game press conference about playing for himself. That ultimately needs to be the motivation. That's brilliant. People are going to take that the wrong way, but if you get 53 guys with incredible personal pride trying to put their best foot forward all the time because they don't want to do anything less than that, they don't want to have anybody look at them and say, hey, that guy's not a stud on this play, you get everybody doing that, you're a good football team. And you'll sacrifice more for the guy next to you if you're doing that for yourself. So it does become selfish at a certain point, and each player needs to look at himself in the mirror and say, you know, there might be reasons I'm not playing my best, but those reasons have to go away. I got to start playing my best right now because everybody's looking at me.
Got to wonder how many untouchables there are on the Dallas Cowboys.
There's always a few.
Speaking of teams in turmoil.
Yes.
You know, as we say goodbye to you, and we thank you, Trent Dilfer, for your insight on the Dallas Cowboys' demise and their future ahead, we turn to the Minnesota Vikings. In fact,
against the Green Bay Packers, what's going to happen if that product continues to show up on the football field, people will just forget about the Dallas Cowboys. Even here at ESPN, where we love talking about the star in the helmet, we'll stop talking about them if it's that disgusting of a product. So there had to be some kind of knee-jerk reaction, big move, so the fan base says, well, okay, at least there's some hope, because without hope, this thing was going down even faster than it was already.
All right, let's look big picture, Trent. What kind of coach can be successful in that environment, and could that coach be a Jason Garrett?
Well, everybody's talking about this authoritative figure, right? This strong personality, this alpha male, somebody that will stand up to Jerry Jones. And I agree with that. It needs to be somebody that challenges Jerry Jones. I'm a big believer in the National Football League. Without conflict, there can't be growth, but it has to be healthy conflict. Now, can Jason Garrett be that person? I think a lot of people are saying no because they look at Jason Garrett's personality as offensive coordinator. Be careful before you go to that assessment, because a lot of times in the National Football League, assistant coaches, even coordinators, can't assert their personality, their leadership qualities when they're in an assistant role, because they'll usurp the head coach's authority in that situation. So a lot of coaches are delicate in the assistant role of how they handle the leadership position. You thrust them into a leadership role, and now you get the fullness of their personality. Now you get everything they offer. Let's not forget, Jason Garrett has been there. He's seen the formula that doesn't work. He's not a dumb guy. He's going to say, I need to do some things to send some shockwaves to his football team, create some edge. I don't want to say fear, create some edge with this football team. I think Jason Garrett can do it, and he's got a great 8-week audition to do so. If he just gets his team 4-4 in the last 8, they show some life, some energy, and they become relevant again, you better believe Jerry Jones is going to want to stay that direction.
Tough schedule to go 4-4 on, though.
It is. Yeah, tough business, though.
Yeah, that is why there is no off switch right there. Trent Dilfer, excellent insight. We appreciate it. But this is a story that, quite frankly, demands many more voices, because we here at ESPN really do like the star in the helmet.
Yes, we do.
So we head out back to Cincinnati now in Stuart Scott.
Thanks a lot, guys. All right, we're talking Wade Phillips. Right decision to fire him, right time. Both of them question marks.
Well, first of all, I think I agree with Trent. There was no question. The way they played last night, you can't just not play good football and over and over and over again and go 1-6 and 1-7. It's just he couldn't fire. Jerry couldn't fire himself. You can't fire the team. It's really, and Wade handled it very classy, with class. Jerry's comments were great. Holding players accountable. It's the most accountable I've heard anybody in Dallas in a long time, and I hope it rings true for players.
Here's the thing, there's so much that we don't know. You don't know what goes on in the locker room. You don't know what's said to the team. You don't know. There's so many things and we shouldn't know. And that being said, was it time for a change? Yeah, well,
Here's
obviously,
the problem,
we weren't
Matt.
doing anything.
We don't know what happens in the locker room, but neither does Jerry. That's the problem. He wants to be so involved with his team that all the players know deep down. I'm not comparing him to Al Davis because there's separate people, separate situations. But at some level, every player in that locker room knows that the guy who is the arbiter of all decisions in that organization is Jerry. And Jerry is not, when you're not there in the locker room day after day after day after day, and you don't have the stick, when you take the stick away from the head coach, it makes it very difficult. I don't think Jerry means to have that happen. Nobody wants the Cowboys to do better. But I think that there's that distinguishing piece to the puzzle that the new coach, he's got to empower the coach, that the players believe that coach can decide my future or my fate. If they don't give him a stick, I think it makes it very difficult in the long run.
Okay, I'm going to go back a week ago and going to talk about this particular way, because I personally believe the head coach is a guy, he's making some decisions, but this team has to be taken over by the team and the players on the team. It is, Dallas, listen, this is your team. As a player, you need to pick it up. You need to be accountable. It has to come from within the player group, because if you're waiting for another guy, if you're waiting for a head coach to tell you to pick it up, you shouldn't be on the field in the first place.
It's too late. That group of guys.
No, it's not too late.
That group of guys have proven
somebody better pick that thing up. Somebody's got to pick it up. There's too much talent down there.
We said that for 5 years.
This is still the Dallas Cowboy organization that has won the most games ever on Monday Night Football. But on this Monday night, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers who